but get ready to take notes. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover. So
yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy,
Yeah, welcome into day 5, everybody. Going to be a sweet day. Can't express it enough. Graduation day for everybody. We, been truly honored to be able to help you guys over these last 4 classes that we've had with one another. I hope you guys have been taking action on everything that, we've challenged you to do. Today is definitely still a big day. Okay. We have a lot to go over. Let's just recap real quick. So yesterday you learned about closing the leads that you generate. Dan did some role play with you guys. He pulled out Patricia from the VIPs here, and he did a live role play. You saw Desmond and Dan do some role plays. I'll tell you what, I've been an agency owner for 5 years. I wrote down a bunch of notes yesterday from what Dan was talking about that I'm going to turn around and use too. There was some good stuff there for sure. So today we're going to look at a few different key areas. Okay. We're going to make sure that you're walking away with clarity on the sales process so you can get your first deals. Okay. Very important to understand. I want you to have clarity on the entire sales process. Towards the end of this, we're also going to do some math with one another so you have very clear insight into how much your goals are actually going to cost, so you can factor that into how much you're going to charge per client. We're going to help you go over pricing and things like that for yourself as well. So you can structure your agency around the math, which I think is going to help you a ton. You've also learned about client traits. You learned about different niches to pick, how to find those niches, how to find leads, how to pitch those leads. You also learned how to close them. So we're going to start off with what channels you can reach out to these people on. I'm going to show you my version of follow-up, which I call value-driven follow-up. And like I mentioned before, we're going to show you how to price your services. So, hey, do me a favor. Everybody on Facebook, all the VIPs, let me know in the chat. Are you guys ready? Big day today. VIPs, let me know. I see a bunch of yeses rolling in. My people on Facebook, drop in the chat. Let me know. Are you guys ready to roll? Looking good. All right, cool. Let's get started then. So, one question I'm sure you guys are all asking yourself, now that you've learned the video pitch, now that you learned some closing strategies from Dan, this question had to have come up if you've taken this challenge seriously and actually started pitching people. What's the best way to ensure a lead actually sees your video pitch? And the answer is very simple. It's reaching out on every channel. I can't express this enough. You got to be hitting these business owners up on email, on Facebook Messenger, in their Instagram DMs, LinkedIn. I even tweet video pitches at business owners. Okay. All channels means all channels. You go to their website, you drop it in their contact form. Okay. Everywhere. All channels. Why do we do this? It's very simple, guys. Different business owners have different preferences for where they check routinely. Some might only check one, which is very important to understand. Like as an example, I'm constantly in my DMs on Instagram. A lot of people communicate with me there. I get students that constantly ask me questions there. I just talk to a lot of people there. I never check LinkedIn. Hate it. Way too much spam in that inbox. I check email all the time. I have an entire vertical monitor here next to me. It's just literally dedicated to communication. Email is one of them. Okay. Different business owners check different channels. Not everybody's going to have the same preferences I do. Some are going to bias towards LinkedIn. The most common ones I found are email. That's definitely one that you're definitely going to see a lot of engagement with. So to be clear, if you're only going to send them a DM, just be very direct with you. You're going to immediately lose out on all the other places where they would have likely engaged with you. Okay, is this making sense? Put it in chat and let me know. Is this sinking in for why this is important to reach out to these people on all channels? I see some thumbs up. Thank you. Good. Seeing a ton of yeses roll in. So look, I checked you guys. Someone said before the challenge, I didn't even use Instagram. I'm glad to hear it, because this is an example of you being adaptable to the game. Okay. So look, if you don't use one of these existing channels that I'm encouraging to reach out on, it doesn't matter. You get on there because it's a revenue generating action. Okay. You're no longer using social media to just sit there and scroll through bullshit all day. You're there to generate business for yourself. So now it actually makes financial sense for you to be well established on these different platforms that there are out there where you can reach out to people. And once again, the intention of that is not everybody's going to just use Instagram DMs. Okay. Not everybody's just going to use email. I can't tell you how many students I've seen through the years that have gone through my programs and actually just only chose LinkedIn, or only tried to send people emails. And, they come into the group and they're like, hey, I'm not getting a lot of responses on my video pitches. What's going on? Very first question I always ask, are you hitting people up on all channels? Coincidentally, 99% of the time, that very person who's complaining says, no, I've only been hitting them up on this one. Don't learn the lesson the hard way. Remember what my grandfather taught me. It's a fool's game to learn the hard way. Okay, is this making sense? Let me know in the chat. What are you going to be doing from here forward with these video pitches? Where are you going to be sending them? I use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, email, all channels, all platforms. Shotgun the social network. I like that. Yeah, that's so true, guys. Okay, it's so true. The moral of the story, you DM people on all channels. You email them. And check this out. You guys know me at this point. I'm going to make it easy for you. Okay? It's the whole point of this challenge. I can't express this enough. We are making this a cakewalk for you guys, for you to have the highest probability to get results. No bullshit. Okay? So to make this easy for you, I'm going to give you the exact scripts of what to say on all these different channels. That's the only thing that holds you back that I could identify is you'd probably tell me, well, Jeremy, what do I say to him? What am I going to do? So also just to disclose, to make sure that I'm clear on this, I usually only give this out to my actual paid students, my agency on our course that we have. But, to be clear, I set that kind of logic aside for the challenge. I wanted to make sure that I give you guys as much as I possibly can for where you're at in this stage in the process. So in your training library that you guys have had login access to now since you got into the challenge, there's another new document that's going to be available to you tonight. And it's called the Agency Outreach Swipe File. Okay, the purpose is clear. This is an exact document that you have the ability to use. You can see here right in front of us. This is just a screen capture of the first page. I think there are 6 or 7 pages in this puppy altogether. This is just subject lines. There's different email body copy that you can use. And guess what? This shit actually works. This is the stuff that I literally just asked my sales team. I was like, hey guys, what's the best emails and best DM messages that we're sending out to people? Send them over to me. They send me screenshots of all the different stuff they're testing. We look at response rates and things like this through our different analytic tools. This document is the best possible outreach, and it also has follow-up in it. So we'll talk about that here in a minute when it comes to value-driven follow-up. I'll show you some examples straight out of the Agency Outreach Swipe file you guys have access to. Let me know in the chat. Does this remove your excuse? Does this help you? Is this going to help you reach out with zero friction? Okay, you know exactly what to say. You now get the actions. You can skip the, what am I going to do? What am I going to test that works best? Good news. We blast out hundreds of video pitches a week. This stuff works great. Okay. You guys have any questions? Keep in mind my VIPs, whole point, you guys signed up for the VIPs, the opportunity to ask questions. This first section, I just want to take a moment here and I want to recap with you. Okay. It's important to reach out on all channels. Do you have any questions about that? Is there any clarity you need? Mauricio asked, what frequency? Good question. So I think that's more of a follow-up question, Mauricio. When you're sending out a video pitch, obviously the frequency is just one. You're going to send one message on each channel. Okay. The value-driven follow-up, which we'll talk about here in a minute, you're going to use a once-a-week value-driven follow-up. That way you avoid being annoying. It gives you a real opportunity to provide value to somebody without actually coming off like you're desperate. Okay, John asks, do you have a schedule you follow up for your channels? Yeah, John, we'll talk about it here in a minute, but just like I mentioned, we like to do value-driven follow-up once a week. Okay, cool. Bogdan asks, would it feel like spam or lack of due diligence from our part when the business owner finally sees those messages? No, Bogdan, because once again, if you sent me a message in my Twitter DMs, in my LinkedIn, if you Facebook Messengered it to me, I wouldn't see it at all. If you emailed it to me and Instagram DM'd it to me, I'd only see it twice. And I would also know, hey, this guy's serious about working with me. Because keep in mind, your video pitch doesn't come off as desperate. You're coming off like you're convicted about the fact you can help these people. That's why you're reaching out. You're not doing it to be annoying. You're doing it out of respect for the mere fact, once again, not everybody uses all channels. You'd be surprised. Some people only bias towards one, but you got to hit them on all channels to know what the one is. Yeah, good. It's 2 more here. Jaya asks, when we find leads on Facebook, Instagram, and Google Maps, we are able to find emails and phone numbers. How do we know that those are those of the decision makers? Yeah, Jaya, good question. I wouldn't leave it at that. Okay. You're being lazy in your research process if you don't take the time to find the decision maker and add it to your Google sheet. In the CRM example that I gave you with that Excel sheet, I made a whole column for the decision maker. When I'm searching a company, I'm also going to take the time to search for who owns the company. So I can then go search for that person's social profiles so I can contact the decision maker. I'm not trying to contact the business social profiles. All right, cool. And then last one here, Sadia asks, and we can send the same video pitch to all channels, or does it have to be different? Good question, Sadia. Same exact video pitch, just sent on all channels. Because once again, there's a very high probability that they aren't. Look, business owners are busy and rich in most instances, guys. They don't have time to sit there and just go, okay, I'm going to go check my LinkedIn messages. Okay, great. I got that done. Now I'm going to go to my Instagram. I'm going to look through all those DMs. Okay, great. Now let me pop over to Facebook Messenger. All right, great. Let me talk to my team real quick in Telegram or Slack. Okay, now I'm gonna bounce over to my email. You know, it's like, dude, they don't check all that shit. They don't got time for all that. Absolutely not. You send the same video pitch all channels because once again, they're gonna have one or two that they bias towards. They're not gonna see it on all channels. All right, cool, good. Is this making sense? Those questions help you understand this concept further? Please let me know in the chat. I see some head nods from my VIPs. Good. All right, great. Let's keep it rolling, guys. So I want to talk to you about value-driven follow-up. You just heard me messaging it here and there in terms of what this concept is. I'll break it down for you guys, okay? Most agency owners have a very selfish and annoying follow-up. They send messages like, hey, just checking to see if you saw that last message. They send things like, hey, did you see the video? You know, they say shit like, hey, just following up. You know how annoying and non-value oriented that is? It's so selfish. Okay, I understand you want deals from these people, but you don't need to do it in a selfish way. You can do it in a way that provides value. Okay, and to be clear, even more agency owners that just don't follow up at all. Like literally, they don't even send a follow-up message after they do their video pitch. Okay, follow-up is where the money's at, without a doubt. And more deals will happen after several communications with a potential client. It's very important to write down. Okay. It's not a game of send a video pitch and then move on. It's a game of send a video pitch, leverage value-driven follow-up to increase your chances of getting a deal. It's like a conveyor belt. It's like an operational conveyor belt. If I was making a pizza and I only made my dough, should I expect a pizza to come out of the oven? No, I only did dough. It's like I got to roll the pizza out flat. I got to put the sauce and the cheese and the toppings on it. It's a process to bake a pizza. It's the same thing with the sales pipeline. I can't just do video pitches. That's just getting my dough ready. I got to go through the other steps in the process to get my desired end result, which in this case is value-driven follow-up and getting on some calls like we went over yesterday with Dan to get some deals closed. Okay, that big middle step where everything really happens to get a deal done is in value-driven follow-up after you've sent your video pitches. Because guess what? Business owners are busy. It's selfish to think I should get a response to every video pitch I send. It's selfish to think, hey, why isn't this person paying attention to me after I took the time to make them a video? They don't give a shit. They don't know you. They have no value on your time yet. You're trying to earn that, and that's what value-driven follow-up does. So to be clear, you'll very rarely send a video pitch and just get immediate one-call closes. It's a rare sighting. You know, it's not a blue moon. You know, it is possible to get a one-call close. I mean, you can literally ask Dan Lok. We're not bullshitting you guys. Like, I sent a video pitch. He got on, called me the next day. It was literally a deal done after that one call. But that was 2 years ago, 2 years plus that happened. Between then and now, I think literally I've had maybe one other one-call close out of the dozens of people that we've probably worked with throughout the last 2 years. Okay, so it's important to understand once again, the money is in the follow-up, and that's where value-driven follow-up comes in handy. Okay, so to be very clear, make sure you write this down. The intention of value-driven follow-up is to provide value, to frame ourselves as experts while giving information and actions that the potential clients can actually use in their businesses. I'm going to say it again. The intention of value-driven follow-up is to frame ourselves as an expert by actually telling them things that they could do that will help them. It's a good book. I don't remember the name of it. It's by some guy named, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to say it, but it's the concept of it is you put skin in the game. Okay. It's the whole point of the book is you invest a little bit up front, helping them. I had a guy who hopped on the phone with the phone with us the other day. It was a sales call. And, this is after we sent a value-driven follow-up message for probably 2 months. He gets on a call with us and, he was comparing us to another agency owner. Okay. And he flat out said, he's like, you know what? I was really surprised by every time you guys followed up, like you actually told me something that could help make me money. The other person, they wouldn't even reveal a strategy to me until I paid them. And like, that's why I'm on the phone with you guys right now. I'm going to work with you guys because you actually told me shit I could do before we did a deal. Like you gave me clarity to things that I could actually use that you're likely to use from me hiring you. Like that other person wouldn't even tell me anything. Okay. And to be clear, like you'd be surprised. Okay. You would be. This might sound like, well, isn't that just what you should do in the follow-up process? Like you'd be surprised once again. So few agency owners do this. That's why it comes off as so valuable when you choose to do some of these examples that I'm going to show you here. Okay. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of those. And I'm going to show you some examples of how you could use value-driven follow-up with articles first. Okay. Let me know in the chat. You guys want to see some examples of how you guys can use articles for value-driven follow-up? Yeah, sure. Great. All right, cool. Loving it, guys. All right. So here's an example from the agency owner outreach swipe file that you guys have access to. This is how simple this shit can be. Same thing, all channels. Or I'm going to say this real quick. Wherever you establish a communication with the client, stick to that channel for follow-up. Meaning you keep sending all channels until you get a response. Once you get a response on a particular channel, leverage that for the follow-up channel. Don't be too annoying sending your value-driven follow-up everywhere after they've already established communication with you on, let's say, email or Instagram DMs or wherever it might be. All right, so this is a Forbes article here. This is an article about memorable ads from the past decade. So it just shows some great ads and it also shows some not so great ads. This is how simple this message is. Look how non-selfish it is. Okay. Hey, name, saw this article and thought of you. Link. Hope you're doing well. Value-driven follow-up. It's an article that they can read that can inspire them to have better creatives. Nothing about me, nothing about the previous video I sent, nothing about, hey, let's get on a call. You got 20 minutes for me, even though you don't know me yet. Nothing. Just an article. Hey, thought of you when I saw this. It'll help. Here's another one. Hey, saw this new article from Forbes on where to put ad dollars. Maybe think of your company. This is an article about how to maximize your advertising spend. Okay. It's contributing to ideas that they could use in their business, written by credible distribution channels such as Forbes. Like I said, I give you a bunch of these. Okay. I don't put you in a position where, I just expect you to go find all these articles, but I'll show you how easy it is. You can go to Google. There's a tab that says news and you can type in anything and it'll bring up articles from credible distribution channels that will support what you are selling. As an example, let's say you guys are selling these press services that I taught you about on day 3. Why not go on Google News, okay, and type in, why is press important? Or why should businesses do press releases? I almost guarantee you, I'd place a bet on it, okay, that there's probably dozens of articles spanning several pages of Google search results from websites like Inc., Forbes, any entrepreneur.com, Wall Street Journal, where somebody over the years has published an article saying, hey, it's smart to do press releases when you're a business owner. Let me know in the chat. Is this making sense? You guys have clarity on where to find articles? Good. Yes. People on Facebook, you chime in too. Let me know. Good. Yes. Too simple. It is. All right. Next one. So you can also provide them value by helping them with tips and learning resources. This one's good. This is one of my favorites to use. Here's an example. Hey, again, just wanted to follow up. Ran into some new updates on video ranking for Facebook. Figured I'd share. Hope it helps. So this, Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, YouTube, Google's search engine, pretty much any online platform you can advertise on or make money on, They have what's called a newsroom. Okay, write this down. You can go on Google, you can type in Facebook newsroom, Instagram newsroom, Google AdWords newsroom, and you'll get an entire site just about algorithm updates or new features that just got rolled out. Okay? Those little things, there's dozens of them once again, and they happen by the day in some industries. You know, this shit, some of them happen every couple weeks. Another pro tip, on Twitter, okay? I schedule what's called a tweet notification. So as an example, Facebook's newsroom, they have a Twitter account where they'll tweet out all these links. So I just have a notification that comes on my phone that says, hey, Facebook newsroom just tweeted something. And I can just see all this shit in real time. So then we can turn around, grab those links, share them off to potential clients. You have unlimited value-driven follow-up, just updating them on algorithm changes. Put in the chat real quick. Can you understand how this makes you look like an expert when you share this kind of stuff? It's actually sinking in for like why a client is going to appreciate this, you know, why they're going to be like, oh, hey, this girl actually knows what the hell she's talking about. It's not just like they're following up with me in an annoying way, like the thousands of other people pitching me. They're actually giving me real shit I can use. You know, they're keeping me educated. Here's another example of a strategy. So this website's called digitalpsychology.io. It literally just has 9 cool examples of like digital psychology principles. So here's the message. A lot of our strategies include some digital psychology tactics. This site goes through 9 cool biases you can leverage in your marketing that you can pass along to your current team. Enjoy. I'm telling you, man. I had people reply to this message so many times that are like, hey, great resource. I'll pass it along, you know, and just message by message. They're getting more warmed up to the fact that we know what we're talking about. We're experts. We can help. And that's all we're looking to do. We're just looking to help them. Okay. We're not looking to be annoying and say, hey, can we hop on a call? Hey, can I have 20 or 30 minutes of your time? Hey, do you see my previous message? It's like, they don't care about that. Doesn't help their business at all. They're going to train themselves to ignore you when you follow up in that annoying way. Okay. So one of my personal favorites that I always get a great response from after doing value-driven follow-up for a long time is the "Am I being annoying?" message. So after, let's say 4 to 6 weeks has gone by, you know, you've sent one value-driven follow-up a week. This message works like a charm. Okay. It actually lets you know that they're watching and sometimes they might not be responding. Here's the message. Hey, name, wanting to make sure we're not annoying you. Any particular reason holding you back from hopping on a call with us and coordinating how we can help drive more revenue for your business? Would love your feedback. Thank you. Double exclamation point. Make sure you do the double exclamation point if you use this one, because it makes it a little less professional and like a little less templated is how it feels. Anyway, long story short, this one works great. It solicits a great response. And I'll tell you one thing from experience, guys. Great deals are about perfect timing. Write that down. Great deals are about perfect timing. Okay. Some of my biggest clients ever have had to be in a good timing position for me to be able to do a deal with them. Maybe they just fired one of their marketers. Maybe they just got educated on advertising from something that they invested into. I've had clients who literally just put down a book and coincidentally our video pitch or one value-driven follow-up message landed in their inbox at the right time, right after they read something that educated them about how important what we're talking about to them is. And then they're like, dude, I'm ready to do a deal. Okay. Great deals come from perfect timing. So this message, it helps a lot because a lot of times when you're doing value-driven follow-up, they actually will look forward to and appreciate you communicating with them because you're not being annoying. You're actually providing value every time that you communicate. It's really good. One of our bigger clients, guy who does 22 million a year, his name's Garrett. We had to follow up with him for 9 months, 9 full months of value-driven follow-up. And the reason we got the deal was because he had just cut out a previous agency at the time that he hired us. And he commented on the fact we have an entire testimonial video on just our sales process from him, where he says it was a pleasure to be sold. This man's team followed up with me religiously for 9 full months once a week. And every time they sent something that could help us make more money. 9 months later, we got the deal. So to be clear, you can also increase their awareness on how well you're doing for other clients to increase your chances of getting a response. These are just simple like case study or testimonial based messages. Like as an example, if you guys had the opportunity to sell anybody on the press services so far, you know, those the first people that you sell to, no matter what your service is, as soon as you get a great result, make sure that you get some kind of either text screenshot or even just ask the client, hey, can you send me a little 30-second video on how we helped you so far? I'd love a quick testimonial if you don't mind. Be surprised. Ton of people will be very enthused to get it over to you. So here's my point. Okay. That comes in handy for your follow-up. Here's a message from a client who's talking about, oh, I had 51 booked appointments yesterday. I respond back. I'm like, nice. He says, hey, bro, I just wanted to say thank you. This week we did, I covered up the amount of sales. He said, that's about 300K gross sales. I have nobody to talk to about making money except you and my wife. I'm truly grateful, brother. So this was a client. Just to be clear, he's doing 600K a month now. It looks like in this screenshot here, he did 105K just in a week. Okay. And then at the bottom there is the message. And we just send a screenshot of what the client said. And we just say, hey, just had a client do 105K in new sales this week. Would love to help do the same for you. It's holding you back from getting on a call with us. Easy. This the kind of testimonial follow-up you can do. Here's a client, bro, the sales competition is working, and they've been saying and hearing, I found out this from an ad. This is a client, month to date. He was about, 15 days into the month. He was doing 193K so far for that month. Same kind of thing. The message attached with that screenshot would be, here's a recent result we were able to help get one of our clients. Want to help you do the same. When can we connect? These kind of things also get a great response. So long story short, the point I'm trying to make, once you get some results, those come in handy for turning around, being able to screenshot it, being able to send off a video, to be able to get some great responses. Is it making sense for how this value-driven follow-up process works? Put in the chat for me. Let me know, please. Yes. Are we sending out your exact case studies? No, Anthony, these are just examples. Obviously, you're not going to send out my case studies for your results because they're not your results. These are just examples that you can recreate from once you get some results. All right, cool. Great. Glad to hear it. All right, cool. And then lastly, one of my favorites is also the selfie video. Okay. So you can send a selfie video with tips in it that can help make them aware of cool parts of your process, or just like cool targeting options, these cool things. So I put an example for you together. You guys want to see the example?
Yeah. By the way, Jeremy, this works so well. I
does.
remember even when after you closed the deal, once we agreed to work together, I got different things from you all the time. Little selfie thing, and you're walking down the street and you do this selfie. Hey Dan, I'm thinking blah 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 blah, and you go into it's very, very personal, and it's actually
So
not salesy at all, right? When you lead with value, keep in mind write this down. We're not marketing to a static army. You're always marketing to a parade. People's situation changes. The jobs change, right? The business change. So they may not, don't take it personally. When they say, well, when they're ignoring you, they're saying no, just because they say no today doesn't mean they'll say no a month from now, right?
Yeah, so true.
And most of the bigger deals, we don't need a lot of deals. Those few bigger deals, if Jeremy was, think about the 9-month deal with Garrett. If he was to say by month 5, you know what, screw this. He doesn't like me. He'll never hire me, forget it, right? Well, if he would just stick with it a little longer, and that is a very, very valuable client that pays him like a fortune every year. So think about people's, don't take it personally. Can we agree? Put up your hand. Don't take it personally, right? Don't take it personally. It's not you. It's just not the right time for them. It is not you. It's so easy. It's like, oh, it must be me. They don't, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't have enough experience. I knew it. Like, oh, no. It's just not the right time. And it's like in dating, the ones that you don't know. It's like they turn you down. You kind of keep asking. Suddenly, then, you get the date. Maybe that person just broke up with a girlfriend. The person just broke up with a boyfriend. You don't know, right? And the ones that are persistent, they get the date.
You're top of mind, right?
You're top of mind. It's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I will go for that coffee date. Yeah. Oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I will go for that movie. It's don't give up so easily. always, we will do the calculation a bit later, how much each client is worth to you.
Yeah, so true.
Like how much each client is worth to you. You don't need a lot. For some, you only need the one client to quit the job. For some, you only need that one client to pay for your house, pay for a mortgage, pay for your car. Yes? One. Is it worth reaching out to them, all these channels, one or two? And I love the tip, Jeremy, about the way that they write this down, close the way that they want to be closed.
Yeah.
If you DM them, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that, they reply through DM on Instagram, that's the way that they want to be communicated. Keep doing that. When you drop the content, the value-driven content, do it in Instagram, because that's what they're checking. If they're on LinkedIn, stay on LinkedIn. If they email, right? If they're text, through text, because they already told you the preferred way they want to be communicated to. Yes, right? Keep doing that. It's a very, very powerful tip. So Jeremy, show the selfie. It's awesome.
Yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, so this is an example of a selfie video I'll play for you guys. I have a few of them here that.
Hey, what's going on, potential client? So I'm actually here in the ads manager on Facebook, and like I've been saying, I don't know if you've been seeing all these messages above, but I just want to provide you ongoing value here and let you know some of the cool targeting options that you have for your business. One of my favorite things is if you go here to the targeting options, we can actually target people by their financial demographic. So we can target people, as an example, who are in the top 5% financial demographics of the U.S. We can even target people based on different things that have been happening in their life, like they're away from a family, they have a long distance relationship, they have a new job, they're a newlywed. There's tons of different things, parents, options, whether they're in a certain relationship or not. And one of my favorites is the behavioral traits. So you can actually target people based on what Facebook can track they can do. It's nuts. Anyway, I want to show you a bunch of this stuff. We can hop on Zoom, that'd be killer. I'd show you a ton of cool stuff like this. I'd make sure that it's worth every second of your time. I know you're busy, and I look forward to the opportunity to have a call if possible. Let me know. Talk soon.
Simple. That could be on anything in your process. I just picked a random example of showing them some targeting options. Okay.
But do you see how Jeremy talks the way, communicates in a way that he understands the business owner? It's not on and on and on, like, a 20-minute video. It's quick, right? Yeah. What it's working on, talking about
straight
targeting,
to the point.
And I love how it's very kind of on the fly, not super polished. That's good, right? Now, here's what's gonna happen. As a business owner, if I am playing prospect, okay, I get a video like that, showing me some of these things. Now, assuming I'm not super sophisticated when it comes to Facebook advertising, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what your business owner you're gonna be talking to is gonna do. I'm gonna send this to the digital marketing person that I'm working with right now, right? I'm gonna send it to my guy. I sent it to him. What do you think of this? Like, this Jeremy guy just sent me this. Now, one of these two things he would say to me. One, oh yeah, we're already doing that. Okay, good. What kind of results are we getting? Okay, good. No problem. Second possible reply. I didn't know we can do this. What do you mean you don't know? Jeremy just said we can target this. Why are we not having a campaign doing this? I don't know how to do that.
That is true.
Okay. Okay. Well, now I'm counting the days. How many days this guy is going to be around, right? Now I jump back. Jeremy, we need to talk, right? Yeah. We need to set up a time. You and I need to talk, or you and me and my guy needs to talk.
We have that happen all the time.
Right? And you don't know whatever value bomb you're dropping. One thing will resonate, and you try. And maybe it's not Facebook ad retargeting. Maybe it's about strategy. Maybe it's about YouTube.
Yeah, so true.
Hey, are we doing this stuff on YouTube? No. Why not? I don't know how. Okay, we need to talk. You see how this works? This is what's going to happen, right? So they will do this. That's what business owners do. They forward this, read this, and then I follow up with my guy. Hey, what do you think? It's on only one of these two responses, right? Now, in some cases, it's possible that they might see as a threat. Jeremy, how do you handle that? When someone, like, if they're working with a couple of digital agencies, they kind of see you as someone who comes in, try to take the business and things like that. Like, what do you do?
We usually just assume that's the case 100% of the time. And if the client,
write it down.
Gives us an opportunity to get on a call with them and they're like, hey, we currently got a marketer. we just immediately take the objection away from them, and we diffuse that time bomb right away. We flat out tell the person, we're like, look, there's a high probability that your existing marketer thinks we're going to take their job. We throw out a few options. We're like, we're great at working alongside of existing teams, so nobody has to be replaced.
Working alongside.
Yeah, I flat out say it too. I'm like, we're not here to take any jobs. If you want to replace your current guy, that's great. But we're great at working alongside of whoever you got in your team right now. Yeah. There's an unlimited amount of digital actions you could take. No need to only have one person. Is
yes. Another word, another phrase you can use: make their lives easier.
Yeah. I have a client right now. It's a perfect scenario for that, Dan. There's so there's this guy. He has a marketer, and the marketer is managing 5 of this guy's businesses, and he's doing closing. Okay, so I call those people the jack of all trades, and they're so overworked that they throttle the business in terms of how much can get done. Those people rarely see you as a threat because they flat out, they know they need help.
They're glad, like, somebody come rescue me. Yeah. Shit, yeah. I'm like drowning here with all this stuff.
They want it, you know, they're wide open to it, especially when we frame it the way that I mentioned.
No one.
We're like, look, we're not here to take any jobs. We just want to relieve some of the pressure on this guy. And we call it out. We're like, there's no way you're getting good results. I know businesses that have people like me that just manage like one campaign for their business, you know, like you got to diversify the amount of things you got this person doing. We're here to help. The other kind of business is the person who they have a marketer already potentially, and they just want to compare, you know, they almost want to have their marketer talk to us or have them on the call with the decision maker. Yeah. And then what happens is after the fact, we know that if that marketer is threatened, there's a high probability they won't talk about it on the call, but they'll talk shit about us after the call, and they'll be like, "Oh, that guy, you know, he didn't know what he was talking about. You know, we're already doing this and that." So we take that away from them on the call. We just flat out say it. We're like, "Look, we know that you might be threatened right now about the fact that we're here to replace you. We don't want that frame. We are here to help. There's an unlimited amount of digital actions you could take that drive revenue. We want to do the other revenue-driven actions that are not being done right now. We don't want to take anybody's job." And then
slow down. This is very critical. You know? We are here not to take away what you have, but to add, right, other revenue-generating activities to the business, right? Make your life easier. Release some of the pressure. Talk about the pink elephant in the room. Don't think they don't see a threat. Absolutely, they see you as a threat.
Especially when they're working a job and that's their only income, you know, like there's no way they're not going to see you as a threat.
And
that's their livelihood.
And keep in mind, even though most of them are not good anyway, most of these digital, like I've hired so many of them before I met Jeremy, they don't want to admit they don't know something. Right?
That's true.
They always want to look good and I could do Facebook, I can do YouTube, I can do Instagram, I can do LinkedIn, I can do the blog, I can do organic, I can do paid, like I can write the landing page. No, there's no one person that can do all of that stuff. But you don't want you don't want to make them look like a fool, right? Also even though they are like a fool, don't call them out. Okay? Let the business owner come to their own conclusions what they want to do. Anyone that is smart, you have someone who is well-trained, someone is not well-trained, little back and forth. I'm observing, they're talking to each other. I'm like, it's pretty obvious who should stay and who should go. It is pretty obvious. It doesn't take a whole long time, right? And they would try to justify, well, because I'm busy with this and I don't know this, we didn't have time for that and this and that, like all this stuff. And then now you come and say, yeah, we're here to release some of that pressure. We're here to, here's another phrase you could use, write this down. Take things off your plate.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some things, some of the tasks off your plate, some of the responsibility off your plate. Release some of the pressure, make things easier for you. Focus on other revenue generation activities that you may be not focusing on, or you don't have time to focus on. You see how this works? You got to finesse this a bit, right? Because they will sabotage you.
That's so true. Will, right? Yeah, Dan, when we first started working together, you had a marketer that was currently running your ads.
I did.
And yeah, the way I sold you on it, I said, look, you already got somebody in that role.
Exactly.
Two things can happen. We can either come in hands-on and we can work alongside that person, or let's take the good to great. You know, we are great at skill transferring and knowledge transferring. We can do a consulting deal where we just help hold that person accountable. We probably know a lot more than you might as the business owner. And that helps. We're like an outsourced manager. You know, we're teaching them things. We're holding them accountable to do it. Still helps drive the revenue in either scenario.
Like Jeremy's giving a lot of golden nuggets, okay? Holding them accountable. It's almost like quality control. Yeah, I know my guy's running Facebook ad. How do I know he's doing a good job or not? Right? Oh, some consulting, you come in, kind of be my eyes and ears to look over certain campaigns. That's good. Well,
business owners love that.
Here's the full story. After Jeremy works with that person for a long period of time, and then eventually just fade away, and then it's just Jeremy taking over the thing, right?
It took 2 weeks for you to say.
It's how this works, right? It's like, no, I don't think this works anymore. Then
it took 2 weeks of doing consulting. You made an extra 250 grand in 2 weeks, and you were like, look, this current guy doing it. You were like, Jeremy, just can you just come in and do it hands on? Yeah, I worked alongside of that guy for probably about 5-6 months, I think, and then and then you were like, Jeremy, you just take it over altogether now.
Man. That's it. Always remember, right? It's the skill. It's the skill that pays the bills.
Yeah,
when you have the chops, when you have the skills, companies are more than willing to pay you. They're more willing to switch. They whatever they have, doesn't matter, because it's not getting the results they want, or you could get better results for them. Make sense? Then you go in, not to destroy people's career. It's just, hey, if you can add more value than the other person, it's up to the business owner's decision to choose how they want to utilize the resources and who they want to pay money to. Yes? So keep that in mind. Always have that understanding. You are going in, they might see you as a threat.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and let's go over some questions on value-driven follow-up, guys. I have my VIPs, drop it in the chat for us. What questions you guys have on value-driven follow-up? Tina, I see you have one. You said, how do you handle if you find out they are sabotaging you? Yeah, Tina, great question. So I'll tell you a recent example from an actual client. So I'd done that exact scenario I just described with Dan, where I came in, there was already a marketer. The business owner wanted us to work alongside of that marketer and also do kind of like a mix of consulting. So we were both taking actions and we were teaching that other marketer stuff. Now, what was really interesting about this, it worked great for the first like 3 months. The client was making more money. Everybody was happy. And then after about 3 months, I started to notice like a bunch of weird things were happening with the campaigns. There were campaigns in the ad account that I was running, and there were campaigns in the account that this other advertiser was running. And what would happen with my campaigns is like, I'd wake up and sometimes just little things would be changed. I woke up one day and like an entire campaign was just off. And, I was like, what the hell's going on? And so thankfully in the ad accounts, there's what's called campaign history. And I was able to look at the campaign history of the ones I was running, and I was able to literally see sabotage actions. I was able to actually see a history of what actions we're taking to literally sabotage these campaigns. Now, I didn't initially take it as, okay, this guy's just trying to fuck with me. Maybe he's so uneducated about what to do that he somehow thought these were good ideas or good actions, Like, let me just go ask the guy. So I called it out in a group chat. I sent a screenshot of the actions. I was like, hey, I just wanted to ask in a non-attackive way. I was like, hey, I just want to ask, like, why'd you do XYZ right here? Man, this guy's explanations were real sketchy. They didn't have any real logic, and they didn't even sound like they were uneducated. They almost came off like sabotage oriented. So I sent the business owner a private DM, and I was like, look, I'm not one for drama, but I'm gonna be direct with you and telling you, I think this guy's trying to sabotage what I'm doing right now because I'm doing better than him, and I just need to call it out to you because that's not what I'm here working this deal for. I want to make you revenue, but like, here's all the results that happen when these kind of tweaks are made. It really messes with the algorithm. I explained everything that happens. And, the client, about a day passed. Okay. And even more of those sabotage actions happened, and it kind of escalated a little bit. So same thing. I just called it out to the client, and, eventually that guy got fired. He continued to get more emotionally volatile every time that he was called out and held accountable in front of everybody to these sabotage actions. Now, I'll tell you this from experience, okay? I've learned this a few times. I'm very direct. I'm very direct. Okay. You don't want to attack people. Okay. And sometimes directness can come off attackive. Very important you understand this. Don't act like it's sabotage right off the bat, you know, because if you're mentally framed that way, you're going to communicate about it differently. Okay. You just got to be cool about it. Assume the person who potentially did the sabotage actions is just uneducated. And remember, you know, when you're an agency owner, like, you get the benefit of working with multiple people at one time. So you diffuse your risk. You know, if you lose one client, who gives a shit? You're abundant. You go get another client because you can. That person working a job, though, I mean, that's their job. It's you know, it's their livelihood. It's the only income they might have. So yeah, there's a little more tension on the other side in some instances. You just want to always remind the person, you know, you want to actually be there to help. You're not there to be competitive. You know, it's like you're there to help and just produce revenue for the company. If they take that mentality, it is what it is, and it's going to be easy to call out. Okay, so some other questions here. Looks like Somi asks, what not to do that feels pushy and desperate? I mean, the forbidden follow-ups. Yeah, good question. So just avoid the annoying, selfish follow-ups. Okay. So avoid saying things like just this message by itself. Hey, did you see the previous message? Hey, did you watch the video yet? Hey, can we get on a call? Hey, do you have time tomorrow to speak with me? Those are all very selfish. There's no value in it for the other person, and it comes off annoying. Those would be the forbidden ones. All right, cool. Billy said you got him fired after 6 months. I saw that coming. Yeah, just about that timeline, Billy. Eric says, if they don't answer our video pitch, do we have to follow up in all channels too until they answer back? Yes, Eric. Just to clarify that, your intention is video pitch, all channels. You get no response, follow up, all channels. Eventually, you'll either see, because you're able to track things in email, as an example, you're able to track things on these DMs for whether they opened or read things. You just want to see where they're actually putting their attention at. If you notice that they're opening it or that they're actually communicating with you on a specific channel, you know, just stop following up on all channels and only follow up on the channel that they're actually viewing or that they're actually interacting and engaging with you on. Philip asks, is there a sweet spot for time frame between follow-up messages? Yeah, Philip, we like to use once a week value-driven follow-ups. We find that doesn't come off desperate. It's easy to manage for the salespeople that we have assigned to doing this. You know, even back when I was doing it myself, it's easy to do. You know, it doesn't take too much time and it doesn't come off annoying. We find that if you follow up too frequently, it comes off annoying and desperate, which we definitely want to avoid. Okay, so Ari asks, based on your experience, how many follow-ups until you send the "Am I irritating you" message? Yeah, good question, Ari. So we like to send that after about 6 weeks of once a week value-driven follow-up. We find that helps a ton, especially if they're opening our messages and just not responding, especially if they're communicating with us and all of a sudden they just stop. You know, we continue to do the value-driven follow-up, and then we just ask that about 6 weeks into it. You can do it whenever you'd like. After that time frame as well, if you want to test, but that's just what we found works best. Okay, cool. It looks like we've got another question here. Inru asks, earlier mentioned that we should send on all channels. So my Facebook and LinkedIn should all update our title now, right? Yeah, so Inru, I'm a great example of this, okay? Go look me up on Facebook. Look how my profile looks, okay? Go look me up on Instagram. Look how my profile looks. Go look me up on LinkedIn. Look how my profile looks. Like, guys, I can't express this enough to you, okay? I don't know why you're on social media. I'm on social media to make money, okay? That's why I'm there. I'm not there I don't care about any of the other stuff. It's like, and guess what? When I represent myself as a business person on social media, I haven't lost any friends. I can still DM people and use it as like a regular personal social network. But the benefit is I'm positioned for business. You see, when we reach out to clients, when clients look us up, I look good anywhere you can look. So yeah, all channels got to look good. You got to be well represented on all channels. You know, have a good email footer. Okay. Pro tip, if you want to write this down, there's a good Chrome extension I think you can use. It's called Wise Stamp, wisestamp.com. I think is the website that creates like a fancy email footer for you. Wise, WISE, and then stamp, STAMP. That's my email signature right there. Super clean. You know, you can add and tweak it however you'd like. Yeah, represent yourself well, you know. Represent yourself well. It's not, you're not a consumer anymore. Okay. That's the whole point of this. Like if you're not a business person yet, you're still working a job right now, you're probably using social media just for fun and for like personal stuff, fuck that. Throw that idea out the window. You're a business person. You're there to generate income. You're there to represent yourself as a professional. Okay. All right, cool. I'll answer one more and then we'll keep it going here, guys. So we have something I learned to spot if the follow-up is selfish is if it was sent to you, would you feel annoyed after reading it? Great example, Philip. I call that the selfish rule of thumb. Okay. Would I actually get value from this if I sent it to myself is how I think. And if I do, it's a value-driven follow-up. I'll blast it off. All right, cool. All right, great. Let's talk about pricing now. You guys ready to move on? Let me know in the chat. Are you guys ready to learn a little bit about pricing? Yes, ready. People on Facebook, you drop it in the chat too. Are you guys ready? You guys ready to keep rolling? Good. All right, cool. Let's keep it rolling. So one of the most important things you can do in pricing your services is avoiding undercharging yourself. I call this poverty pricing. You want to avoid poverty pricing at all costs. Okay? Poverty pricing keeps you poor. Poverty pricing limits your ability to invest into yourself. Poverty pricing, it limits your ability to pay for good softwares. Okay? Poverty pricing limits your ability to buy good foods, have a higher quality life, hire good staff. Okay? Poverty pricing sucks. So let me give you an example. Let's say you only charge a client $500 because you're like, I'm only getting started. Jeremy's telling me I can just charge $2,000, $5,000 right off the bat. I don't feel comfortable enough to do that. I'm only going to charge $500. And let's say for that $500 client that you end up doing 20 hours of work in the month. That's only $25 an hour. I don't know about you. I could go on Indeed.com. I guarantee I could find a job paying more than $25 an hour. I guarantee it. I don't want you working. I don't want you getting paid what you're going to get paid at a job. That's not the point of running a marketing agency. Okay. You also want to consider the amount of time that is going into delivering results for the client. It's not just a pricing. It's about the time that goes into the delivery process. So if I'm going to charge somebody $1,000 and it only takes me 2 hours to deliver, like the press release, that's sweet. That's a $500 an hour if it takes 2 hours. That's $1,000 an hour if I charge $2,000 and it takes 2 hours. You see, that's great. That's great pricing right there. Okay. To be clear, I'm going to reiterate this again. You've heard me harp on this so many times in case you haven't written it down yet. Clients only give a shit about results. They do not care about the time and effort that you put into helping them. Employees are judged by time and effort. Okay, if I hire a salary position, like I have a copywriter in my staff, okay? I pay him $2,500 a month. This dude works for me 8 to 10 hours a day, easy, okay? Factor out 40 hours a week, that's 80 hours. That puts him at damn near 180 hours in a month. Okay. Divide that by 2,500. What's his hourly rate? Okay. You can also be an agency owner and sell copywriting services. And you might charge somebody $2,500, but only take 4 hours to do whatever it is that needs done. Okay. You're getting paid way more than the salary person. I judge my employee by the amount of time and effort he puts into working with me. I won't judge a contractor or an agency owner that I pay for a result because I only care about the result. As an agency owner, the client only cares about the result. I can't say this enough, okay? So there's important things to remember when you're pricing, okay? Write these things down. Number one, you avoid poverty pricing. You don't charge too little. And number two, you got to focus on the results, not the time and effort, which means you need to lower the amount of time. You got to challenge yourself, okay? Let's say you think something's going to take 20 hours in a month to deliver for. How can you do it in 5 hours? That's called a creative parameter. Write this down. Creative parameters challenge you under specific circumstances. You can control this, okay? So you can say to yourself, all right, I'm about to get paid $2,500 for this service. The client's going to pay me every month. Okay, I've done the math. Like it might take me about 20 hours in a month to do this. how could I pull this off if I was only going to put 1 hour a week into this? How could I get better results than what I'd get in 20 hours with only 1 hour a week? How could I pull that off? What happens when you challenge yourself with creative parameters is you think of different answers that you otherwise wouldn't have come up with. Very important to understand. Okay. Under any limiting circumstances that you may have found yourself in throughout your life, I guarantee you still figured out how to creatively use what was in front of you to get the result. It's the same thing when you're running a marketing agency. You want to always challenge yourself. If it's going to take me this much time, how can I do it in this much time? Because if I challenge myself to think this way, I'm going to think differently about what to do. I'm going to think of the more impactful action. I'm going to think of the more efficient action. Okay. Very important to remember this. So to be clear, you could charge a client $2,000 a month, work 4 hours. You're making $500 an hour. And if that client's making more than $2,000, they're not going to give a single shit that you only spent 4 hours to deliver the result, because they're getting the result. That's the whole point of why they're giving you the $2,000 in the first place. So long story short, factor out what you're making per hour. So in the instance that, like, I had a client the other month, we ended up firing this client because it was just taking too much time. We get paid, and I'm not BSing you here. Okay. Our average dollar value per hour at the lowest is like $500. Most of our clients, they're upwards of literally like $4,000 to $8,000 an hour. Okay. It's nuts what we've managed to work it up to. Our consulting deals, they're anywhere from like $1,000 to sometimes $2,000 an hour, depending on how much time we have to put into each consulting deal. That includes things like messaging time, actual talk time on calls, whatever it takes. We factor all the time that it goes into managing the client, and we just divide that by what the client pays us. So you divide the amount they're paying you by the amount of hours you're working. That's what gets you your hourly rate, of course. So long story short, once again, it's just very important to remember you're in this for making a good dollar value per hour. You're selling results. You're not selling time and effort. So you need to get comfortable with charging more and working smarter in less time. Is this making sense? Is this sinking in? Are you guys getting this?
Absolutely. Give a thumbs up if you're getting this. How much you charge has a lot to do, not with the abilities. It has to do with the self-image and self-esteem. Do you believe you are worth that much? Are you comfortable asking for that much money? A lot of that has to do with comfort. It is not the prospect's comfort. It's your comfort, right? In the beginning of my career, when I was doing the cooperating agency, I didn't have enough confidence. If people ask me how much I charge, I would stutter. It's like, well, I charge $300, right? I had no self-esteem. Because I didn't believe, I was too young, right? I didn't have enough experience. I spoke funny. I have an accent. Why would anyone hire me to write copy? English is not my first language. I had all this BS in my mind. Not that clients wasn't willing to pay. I was afraid to ask. You see what I'm talking about? Most of this is we are afraid to ask. And it's counterintuitive because we believe we kind of work up the ladder of, we have to start very, very low. And then we work our way up. Instead of focusing on the other thing, it's up-leveling our skills so we can charge more day one. Is this making sense? It's not lower our ability, lower our confidence, so we charge little. It's upgrading our abilities, up-level our skills so we could charge more from day one. And once you get that kind of dollar per hour for your time, you don't want to go back. Who wants to go back to charging $10, $15, $20? Work. We're not doing this for that. Yeah, just get a job. Less hassle, right? Less headache. It's not what we're talking about.
Dan, Jeremy, there's a question from Dahlia. She's saying, where was it? Here it goes. Yeah. Would charging $10,000 for PR at a luxury condo be overkill?
Yeah, so the answer to that's pretty simple. It just depends on the perceptual value of what that client is gonna view it as. Like as an example, I know people who literally impress. They spend $50K a month, but they're getting on more credible channels. Like they might get 3 articles from Forbes and 3 articles from Entrepreneur, and so the perception of what those articles are worth, it's kind of internal for each client. It's different for each client. As an example, getting published on Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS. I typically find it's on one of the lower ends of the spectrum in terms of press releases. That's why I priced it at $2K when I was selling it. That's why a few of you have even closed deals at that price point so far. It doesn't mean you can't charge more. It just comes down to the perception of the client.
Another question, Jeremy, from Ari. How do you do your research about how much will they earn or risk to lose if they're not engaging our services, but they are not open when we ask them?
Yeah, so to be clear, like we just flat out tell people on calls, we're like, look, we need to understand how much you're making right now and what your income goals are, because that's directly proportionate to what we're focused on in the business. Our goal is we only work with people we can help take to 7 figures a month. So we need to know where you're at in that journey right now. And we also need to discuss in your eyes what the lowest hanging fruit is that's going to produce the most revenue. And then, look, if you're not going to tell us, like, we don't care. We're just going to keep it moving and go on to another client. To be clear, guys, like I'm all about abundance. I do not give a shit if a client wants to hold back and not give me what I need. I don't care. I'm going to find another client who will, and that's going to end up being a perfect client, like we talked about there on, I think it was day 2 or 3.
Yep.
I don't care. I either get the information or we keep it moving and we go to the next client who's actually going to be willing to talk with us. We've dealt with people like that before who are kind of sketchy and reserved.
And this has a lot to do.
We don't want to work with people like that.
Your posture as well, because sometimes my closing students, they will ask, what if when I'm asking them questions, they're not telling me the answer?
Yeah, you're probably coming off shaky, like
because
you're probably coming off sketchy
in a way that you notice the conversation we had, even the role play. I have very little issues with this.
Yeah,
almost none, because
you have the doctor frame.
It's the doctor frame. Is I'm here to solve your problem.
Yeah.
It's like, would you go to the doctor and say, tell me what's wrong? Well, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable. Why are you in my clinic? It makes no sense. Like that frame because deep down, somewhere there, you don't believe your fucking value.
You don't believe
you don't believe you say you solve problem, but really you're here to get some money from them. You don't believe you can solve the problem. Because if I'm here to solve your problem, why am I trying to convince you? And how can I solve your problem? You don't tell me what's wrong. And if you don't tell me what's wrong, let's not waste each other's time. Move on.
The number one thing I did when I was coaching the closers was take the money out of the equation.
Take it out of the picture.
Yeah, you got to psych yourself. You got to be okay to work with this client for free and actually give value. Maybe you're doing it for the testimonial. Just psych yourself up, brainwash yourself.
Not attached.
Yeah.
So you're not attached to the deal. So then you're at ease.
Yeah, you're not doing it for the money.
You're focusing on their problems. You're not focusing. Yes, we will make money. You want to charge an amount of money. You want to make our X amount per hour. Yes, you'll get all that only if you focus on solving their problems. Make sense? So don't feel that, they won't. Why would they not review the information? Listen to me. There's a reason why they're on the call. You think they really have a lot of fucking free time? They have a pain. They have a problem. They have a traffic issue. They have some kind of issue. This is why they are there, even though they might not admit it, right? They are trying to imposture themselves too, but they're taking the time to be on the phone. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to even get them on the phone. And when your frame is strong and you get them on the phone, you ask questions with the right tonality. I have the other problem. When you are so good at closing, you're talking to a stranger the first time, they will tell you things that you won't even believe.
That's so true.
When I'm on the phone with a prospect, I'm like, this is a bit personal, right? It's a bit too much information, right? They talk about, because think about your own life. Just think about in your own life, okay? The people around you, friends, your family, people around you, all the people you talk to day to day. How many of them, put in a chat, you believe are actually great listeners and they're great at asking questions? Put in the chat. All the people that you know. 0, 1%, not many, very few, almost none of them. There you go. When you're good communicators, when you're good at listener, when you're good at asking questions, people open up. People love to talk. Like when you're asking the questions, like the way I teach all my students, people go deep. They talk about like some of the things that, and they would say something like, I've never told this to anybody. But I'm comfortable somehow. Like, I got divorced, I got this. Like they talk about some pretty personal stuff because you are just a great listener. You're there, you're focused, you're not distracted, and you let them talk. And by the time you're done, the close is so natural. It's so logical. You don't need to convince, you don't need to twist their arm. They're like, let's do this. It makes a lot of sense, right? So when I'm closing B2B, I'm training my closers to close B2B, I like to talk a little bit about personal things. Now, that's my style, right? I like to talk about how the business decision will affect their personal life. Because I don't think they want revenue just for the revenue. It's revenue to do what? Revenue to expand, revenue to buy the new home, revenue to be able to not have to do certain things. There's
a personal reason.
Yeah, there's a personal reason. To prove other people wrong or to
get a promotion,
whatever it is. I want to find out what that thing is, right? That's the hot button, right? That's the button you're gonna push. I want to find out what that is, and don't be afraid to get personal. It's only because you're not comfortable. That's why they're not comfortable. But if you're very comfortable, they are very comfortable. Make sense? Train, practice. Yes, keep going, please.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I love what you were saying about the close. I get questions like that all the time, and people are like, well, "What do I do when I need to close them? What do I say?" And we don't have any like specific word tracks or any kind of BS like that. We just flat out. It's very smooth. At the end, they usually ask us like, "All right, so what's it take to work together?" And then that's when we go over pricing, and we talk about what we need to do to onboard them, and then a deal just happens. It's
and when you ask for the revenue, if you are afraid, if you're afraid, like, can you tell me like how much, just roughly, don't have to give me exact number, how much revenue you're doing on a yearly basis? I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating because I've seen closers. They talk like that. Versus, tell me last year how much revenue you did. What's the revenue in the last 12 months? You talk about like, it's no big deal.
It's like you're talking about the bill at dinner. It's like, how much is the bill? $80. Okay.
What's the profit margin? What are you doing to do? What are you doing now to get leads? How much you're spending? What's your return on that spend? Is that the only thing you're doing right now? What else are you doing? What's working? What's not working? What are you hoping to get out of a conversation today? What are you hoping to get from me today?
Yeah, super smooth.
Boom, 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 boom. And they tell you all if you ask with finesse, with the right timing and the right tonality. They will tell you.
Don't try to follow a script. When they answer something, go a little bit deeper. So you got to actively listen to what they're saying and then ask why. Why is that important?
Why is that important?
Okay, and what happens if it doesn't happen? Oh, okay, and what happens if it does happen? All what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them in their head to see the value, right? We always talk about the heaven and the hell.
And why you need to record your own closing call and listen to it. And in the beginning, probably the first 10 calls, you will cringe. You'll be shocked how bad you sound.
I talk too much,
Listen to it. It's okay. That's how we get better. But you listen to it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I said that, right? You have to kind of be your own little bit of a critic of what can I do better next time? And you listen to it, and you listen to it. And then you get to a place where you listen to it, you're like, well, that's pretty smooth, right? You're like, that's pretty
I don't know,
good.
Dan,
right?
I still feel
right? Right? It's like, watching your, you're like pretty good. Like, that's pretty smooth, right?
Yeah,
and that's how you can
your own calls is huge.
Freedom to run an agency, and that's what we're talking about. Jimmy, why don't we do a quick break? Why don't we do that? Because I know
sure.
To the specific strategies. Tony, how long do you think we should do? He said 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let's do a quick 5-minute break. A timeshare deal because I always
Jeremy, you're
Oh
laughing.
man, Airbnb.
Airbnb, man, like, All right, so if you're ready, put it in the chat. Say I'm ready on Facebook as well. Drop in the comment. Thinking about. and how much it affects your profit, your profitability when it comes to being an agency owner, right? It's
Also,
people don't understand it. They don't spend enough time thinking about, and how much it affects your.
yeah, welcome back, everybody.
Pricing, how much you should charge. Pricing is something that most people don't understand it. They don't spend enough time thinking about, and how much it affects your profit, your profitability when it comes to being an agency owner, right? It's
Also affects time freedom massively and how happy you'll be.
Yeah, your happiness, your overall just peace of mind, just peace of mind.
Yeah, so true. Well, I'd love to get started with a story about when I had 27 staff and I had 3 offices, and I was doing $220K a month at the time. One office was here in Miami in the financial district, a nice office here. And I had part of my team here, about 8 people. And then 2 offices out in Beverly Hills in California. One of them was just my sales office. One of them was the creative team that I held in that part of the world. And I'm flying back and forth every week, literally going from Miami to LA, LA to Miami, Miami to LA, LA to Miami, with an occasional city in between. And I was just a professionally well-paid babysitter at the end of the day. I was managing staff. I was managing problems. I was managing new clients. I was managing potential clients. I was managing existing clients. I had 0 time, 0 minutes in a day for myself. Literally every single day that I woke up, every waking minute of my life was just work. At the time I woke up, I remember every single day I was just stressed. I was looking at my phone constantly. I had so many people just blowing me up all the time that I had to talk to and coordinate with. Life was extremely chaotic. And, if you took that 220K and you factored it out by the total amount of hours that my staff and I were working collectively, I was just a well-paid babysitter. I had a dozen of clients. I had to have the 27 staff to manage. And like I said, I just had tons of people literally taking away every second of my day. I remember I tell this a lot. You guys probably heard me say it a few times. I used to sit down when I would eat a meal, just like a vacuum cleaner, because I didn't even have time to eat. It's just, and then back to work. Barely had time to work out. I had photos of myself from back then. You guys can go on my Instagram. You can see. So there's a good photo of me at Runyon Canyon, dude. And I was just frail. I just looked unhealthy. I was smiling, but boy, was I unhappy. And on top of all that, the pressure was high. Like, there was a very high amount of pressure with that type of business model that I had built. I needed to make sure that all clients were getting results, and there was dozens of them to manage. I had to make sure payroll was getting paid. And it's a big responsibility when you take on people that work for your organization. You're responsible for their financial well-being. On top of that, I had to make sure I could eat and sleep, which, believe it or not, was pretty tough. I remember nights I'd stay up there until, 4:30 a.m. and, had to be back there like 8 in the morning the next day. I was getting very little sleep. It was a very unhealthy lifestyle. And to be clear, like, you guys probably hear, oh, hey, this dude's doing 220K a month. Like, isn't that just the way it is? No, that is absolutely not the way it has to be. I was unhappy, overworked, literally just constantly tired. As I mentioned, I had 0 time for myself. And, on top of that, as an agency, we were just selling all different kinds of services. Some were transactional, some were recurring. The pricing was different for every client. It's just all over the place. Okay. And on top of that, I had 0 time to fix it. I'd scaled up this freaking behemoth monster, and I didn't even have time to fix anything that was going wrong with it. And so, unfortunately for me, I played the fool's game. Okay. I learned the hard way. The way I was running my agency was just not the way to do it. So it was late 2017. I just woke up and I was like, I'm sick of this shit. I fired and refunded $109,000 worth of clients. I went into Stripe, my payment processor, and just refund. Just, sent everybody an email like, hey, we're firing you, like, gave your money back. Sorry, this just sucks. I'm not doing it anymore. I fired 24 of those 27 staff. I got rid of all the offices. And to be clear, this wasn't a money issue. It wasn't like it was like, oh, I can't afford this shit. It was just a flat out, guys. Like, I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled doing it the way I was. So I knew I had to make massive change. That was very evident to me. And obviously I wasn't going to give up. It's like, I was doing it. I was making money. It's just, I just once again had 0 time for myself. I was unhappy, unfulfilled, unhealthy on top of that. So I chose from that point forward, I was going to work with 10 clients monthly max. Okay. If you fast forward full 2 years later, almost 3 years later now, I still have that limit today. You know, it's a personal limit. I wish somebody would have told me this. Okay, write this down. Vision dictates the decisions. Okay. Holy shit, I wish I knew that before. Okay. I had no personal vision for like how I wanted my life to be. You know, I didn't see like how I lived in my head. I just went out and I took a ton of action. And then I found out the hard way, like, all right, well, this is definitely not how I want to live. Okay. Money aside, it's like, this isn't it, you know? So that's why I had to make the massive change. I learned the hard way. I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do? You know, how do I want things to be? You know, how do I like see my world and how do I see me running this business? That came up with decisions like this. Like, I only want to work with 10 people max, you know? And to be clear, I wanted to make more than before. So that was a challenge for me. That was one of the examples of like a creative parameter. I was like, all right, I'm only going to work with 10 people. I want to make more than I was before. And on top of that, I also limited myself on the amount of staff that I was going to be willing to hire. So I would only bring on the best people who could actually help me in multiple ways rather than just taking on anybody and everybody like I was before that could help. So once again, if you fast forward to today, I still have 0 offices. It's just not something I do. I just buy nice homes and I work out of them. You know, all my staff work at home. I have 4 staff altogether: video guy, copywriter, salesperson, and then I have Junjun. He's my VA contractor. I don't know what you call him. 4 staff altogether. And to be clear, I make way more than ever before. On average, our average client's worth $62K a month now. That's with a $10K service fee, and then we do 10 to 25% net rev shares on top of that. Our goal when we work with people, we want to take people to 7 figures a month. And that happens quite frequently nowadays based on the types of people we work with. That's why we're able to get paid so much if you average it out across all our clients. Some are worth far more than others, you know, but it's average across all 10 of them. So to be clear, because I learned, this is all from the fact that I learned how to price the right way. I learned that I'm only selling results. As I just mentioned, we only charge the 10K minimum. We do not charge less than that. And we have to have a 10 to 25% net rev share on deals when we work with most of our clients. There is an occasional client that we'll take on where we'll just do the flat 10K service fee, but that's because it's going to be a great name to add to our client portfolio. And it's going to be something that we can show off to other people that we can get good deals with that will be willing to pay the 10 to 25%. So that's the only real time that we make an exception, if you will. Other than that, we keep that standard high. We just refuse to fall below it. And that's because that plays into my personal vision. You see, when I run the business model this way, like I cannot express this enough. I do not have to work all day, which is so important to understand. You know, I learned the hard way once again that like, I just didn't want to work myself, get little to no sleep, not have time to like work out or eat food or just like spend time on stuff that I enjoyed. Like I wasn't able to read a lot back then. You know, I wasn't able to take courses a lot back then. You know, I love to do that kind of stuff. I wasn't able to like go around to different events unless I was speaking at them because I just didn't have the time, you know, I didn't have time to do all this cool stuff, even just to relax, just to flat out not do anything. I didn't have time for that before. So now I do. It's way better than it was. And once again, it's because I had to learn the hard way that clients did not care about the time and effort. They didn't care if I worked my ass off 12 hours a day. They literally just only cared about how much revenue I was going to make them. And so I applied all those lessons. I knew that I could get only 10 clients to be worth more than what I was getting with dozens of clients before and all these staff and all these offices and stuff. And to be clear, once again, like my average cost per hour now is literally thousands of dollars. It's sweet. It comes from the fact, once again, that I've successfully applied the lessons that I'm handing off to you guys. You guys don't have to go through the same BS that I did to run yourself into the ground to then realize like, oh, that's what Jeremy was talking about. I don't want you to learn all that. Okay. That's why we're going over all this stuff. So important. Is this making sense so far? Please, put in the chat, like, do you understand why I'm telling you this story and why it's so important for you to not to go through this yourself the hard way? It is unbelievably important. Okay. I was seeing tons of yeses. Good. I can't express this enough, guys. I like coming from pure pain. Okay. You do not want to be there in that pit. You do not want to be there.
Hey, Jeremy, there was a question earlier on by Ari also saying, you know, is the rev share 10 to 25%, you know, on top of the 10,000? That's a good question.
Yeah. So we do what's fair. So we like to actually deduct our 10,000 from what's to be paid out from the 10 to 25% net rev share. So we ensure with the service fee, we're always getting paid 10K. And that's usually applicable for the first, like maybe month or two they're getting started. Once they're vamped up, you know, let's say we make the client 250 grand net, you know, and we're to be paid 10% of that. So they would pay us 25 grand. We would deduct our 10K that they already paid us. So they would only pay us 15 extra, totaling 25K for the month. We find that's extremely fair. And it just removes a lot of the resistance to people saying yes to a rev share like that.
I like that model.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Ari?
Yeah. So basically, once you get the first kind of the period of time, you get to know them, they get to know you. You set up a campaign. You're helping them drive traffic. You're managing the traffic source. You're driving more revenue.
Yeah.
Once that is okay, basically, once the revenue share in some way surpasses the monthly fee, you can just switch to a strictly a revenue share model. It's a very good way of doing it.
Yeah,
Actually,
pretty much.
We just clarify on this because I know people doing it, right? So I think I know what they're thinking, and I would actually help them with the closing. You know, you're explaining to them that the 10,000 is hard costs, right? It's them. Plus, you know, there's gonna be ad spend and stuff like that. What you want to say to them is, you know, we're here to help you make more money, right? Yeah. So that's where, you know, we don't make money on the 10,000 like that. That literally just goes to a team.
You want to hear what I tell them, Desmond? I'm super direct. I tell the client, I'm like, look, we already work with other people who pay us a ton of money. And so for us to really get started successfully, the 10K is to get my attention on your account.
Ooh, I like it.
Flat out. It's so I've tried to do just the flat rev share with no service fee. I'm going to be honest. It just doesn't work. I just don't put attention onto those accounts because we're already being paid so much to help all these other people. Like we're taking the risk to work with you too. So we do want to be compensated for that time. It meets our average dollar value per hour just to start at 10K. Look, we're not even going to take you on as a client if we don't have a probability to strive towards our goal, which is 7 figures a month. So to be clear, you should maybe pay us only 10K for maybe a month or two tops. And then after that, yeah, you're going to be paying us more than that on the rev share. But the 10K is just to get our attention. You know, I don't try to justify. There are no hard costs, Desmond. It's just 80% of that is profit minus taxes and commissions in most instances. We tell them flat out, it's to get my attention.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That's awesome.
I love that.
Hell yeah.
That's Jeremy could say that. Has a lot more success stories. In the beginning, how you close it and how everything right this time, everything is negotiable. I see the question. Does a client ever ask for a cap?
I've never had that before. No.
Everything is negotiable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is true. I just I'll tell you this, okay? We like to frame the client before I drop hey, we do a rev share. I say this. I'm like, look, I just want to make it clear you agree that incentives are important when you do deals with people. And if they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, incentives control human behavior almost more than any other possible thing, okay? When we work together, are you going to incentivize us as you make more money that we're going to make more money? So we're constantly driven to focus on growing your business with you. Like this is a team effort here. You know, we're not just somebody your hand. Like I expect you to do some things in this process while we're working with one another so we can both make more and be more successful. Are you somebody who's going to put some skin in the game and put an incentive in front of us so we're willing to do that extra work when it comes down to it? And I've never in my entire history of selling people, this is no shit. I've never had anybody tell me, no, I don't like incentives. I've never once heard anybody say that. Most business owners immediately agree. They're like, yes, of course, I understand that. And that's when we bring up our pricing. And then they already agreed to it. It's kind of like a booby trap a lawyer asks. You know, you can't say no to it after you've already agreed to it. You might just negotiate it to a different term, you know?
Yes. Please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I can't express this enough, guys. I get to do what I want in my life now. Flat out. It's cool as hell. I'm not here to like be pretentious and like brag about it. That's not the point I'm making here. My point I'm trying to make is your vision for how you want to live your life has to dictate the decisions for how many clients you'll take, what you're going to charge, and how long it's going to take you to deliver. Those are things you got to have restrictions and boundaries on. Otherwise, you'll be like I was. I was just so money hungry. I wanted to escape poverty and get away from it at all costs. I didn't know how I wanted my life to be. I just knew I wanted to make more money, and that money could lead me to all these other goals that I had. But I never actually sat down and just flat out asked myself, how do I want my life to be? What is my personal vision? Do I even see myself showing up to offices? Do I even see myself managing teams? Do I see myself managing dozens of people, working with dozens of people? When I asked myself that, after I learned all those hard lessons, the answers were so clear. They were right there in my head the entire time. I never took the time to ask myself those questions, though, and it held me back from the kind of life that I live today. I have a girlfriend. I have a little puppy. Maybe some of you guys have saw him when he pops up here. I can't express enough how incredible it is just to be able to sometimes lounge around and just cuddle up with my puppy and my girlfriend, or go on walks, or like, man, when I go work out, I don't give a shit about the time. It's like I just work out until I'm done. When I read books, it's like it doesn't matter what time it is. I operate on the calendar for the few calls that I've scheduled out in the day. The workload, maybe like 1 to 3 hours a day will go into a total volume of work I'll put in. Some days it's more. I do admit I like to work longer hours, but I don't do that every day. Most days are like just 1 to 3 hours. If I want to take a day off, I could. My point is like, I can't express this enough. I have control over my day to day. I can do what I want when I want. And it's very empowering to have that kind of position. I'll tell you that from experience. That's what you need to strive for as a personal goal. If you don't have that set right now, is the ability to do what you want when you want. That's a part of those 3 things we talked about having the agency get you. Get you the freedom, it gets you the options, and it gets you the control right there. So yeah, long story short, I'm also happy and fulfilled, which is very important to understand. Like doing things like this, being able to turn around and educate you guys, it just straight up, it's purely driven by, I don't want you to experience the same pain I did. I want you to experience all the awesome stuff I've been able to do. And like I said, I wish somebody like me would have came and helped me when I first got started. That would have made me pumped to get all this information you guys have got. So to be clear, like it's very important, like you hear, if you guys watch people like Gary Vee, to me, I'm very against a lot of Gary Vee content because he preaches happiness and to almost set aside valuing a lot of money. Those are not my values. I don't agree with that. I think it's important to make a lot of revenue in your lifetime because a lot of revenue leads to a lot of options, leads to a whole different level of life you otherwise won't experience. And you can absolutely be happy and fulfilled while you're making a lot of money. It's just about what kind of business you build to do it and how your business is ran, you see? So yeah, long story short, put in the chat. Can you understand why you don't want to learn these same lessons the hard way? Is this really sinking in terms of like why you wouldn't want to learn this shit on your own? Okay. Again, getting flooded with yeses. And the sad part is, guys, it's like I come across these miserable, overworked agency owners all the time. They just common scenarios. Okay. They work with so many clients. They undercharge for them. They're just, it's like watching me back then. It's like I can watch them zombifying themselves, just slowly creeping towards a life of misery. Some of them speeding towards a life of misery. Okay. It is awful. You do not want to experience that. Okay. The best thing, once again, I encourage you to do from what I learned is to weigh that personal vision against how you want to run an agency. So important. You put like triple asterisks by that out of all the lessons you possibly learned here to just put it all together with the vision. This is no cheesy bullshit motivational stuff. The vision, once again, it's clear as day. The vision leads to the goals. The goals lead to the actions you need to take, but it all starts with the vision. Okay. So things you want to consider with the vision are like your lifestyle, in terms of like, do you want to travel? You just want to, like Alfredo, the lawyer, who's working as a lawyer for 15 years. He just wanted more time freedom. He wanted more time with his kids. He wanted to have a lunch with his wife rather than being restricted to only an hour to go eat, how do you like see your actual day-to-day life, both in long-term ways? And then on top of that, I would also consider the short-term ways, like, do you see kind of like milestones in growth? I would consider both the big, like juicy out of reach vision, you really got to work for it. And then what are like the milestones that kind of get you there in phases? Once again, the quote, vision controls the decision. So to be clear, I found doing the math also helps a ton on this. So let me show you a few examples. Okay. So let's say you want some certain material items in your life. So some things I definitely wanted when I first got started. I wanted a nicer place to live. I wanted better vehicles because I was driving in my little shitbox 96 Toyota Camry. I wanted options for better food every meal. Okay. And I wanted some new clothes. You know, some things you guys may want depending on your circumstances. You know, maybe you want to help your family. One thing for me, you know, my mom, she has MS, multiple sclerosis. I had this chiropractor come over, you know, and he's adjusting my back here in the house. And he's telling me, he's like, you know, Jeremy, they just, I just got a connection for stem cells. And, you know, I know you were telling me your mom has MS. I've heard a lot about stem cells and how it could help with people with multiple sclerosis. You know, maybe it'd be something that you'd want her to try out. And I was like, absolutely. His name was Dr. Braun. I'm like, huh, how much is this, Dr. Braun? And he told me it was $7,800 per treatment. I didn't even think about it. You know, I instantly called my mom. It took me longer to convince my mom to do it than it did to have the money available to be able to do it. I paid for her first 2 sessions. She didn't get too much result from it, unfortunately, after the second session, but it did help her a little bit. You know, that kind of freedom really, you know, liberates you, puts you in a different kind of position to be able to help your family like that. You know, my sister one time, she calls me, it's the end of the month, and she was working at Starbucks at the time, and she was going to college. She had a little bit of college debt. She also had some medical debt. She apparently had like a gallbladder surgery that put her about $5,000 in debt. So anyway, long story short, she calls me and it's like midnight one night. And then just coincidentally, I was up and I'm in the kitchen with my girlfriend. I answer this call from my sister. And I'm like, hey, well, you know what's going on? Like, she rarely even called me, you know? So I was like, this is kind of peculiar. And she's crying, she's sobbing. She's like, you know, I'm only getting paid $1,000 a month at Starbucks. I've got rent here tomorrow. And like, I don't have enough to cover it. You know, I'm only like $20 short. You know, can you send me money? So for a period of 6 months, you know, I gave my sister $2,500 a month and I educated her. I had her read books. I'd send her tons of books. She would read them, summarize them, send me each chapter summary in a verbal note in our iMessage back and forth together. She's now started 2 different businesses. To be clear, she works a job. She left the place we grew up and moved to Austin, Texas. You know, she's now starting the entrepreneurial process. But man, if I didn't have $2,500 a month to give her, to tell her to just quit her jobs, stop going to school, and just sit there and read books for 6 months straight, who knows where she's going to end up if she didn't take that action. And if I wasn't positioned to be able to do that. Also just, you know, some cool stuff like upgrading your computer and tech equipment, you know, I mean, straight up, that helps you a ton. I remember the $150 Craigslist laptop. And I'll tell you what, I am incredibly thankful to be able to talk to you guys I'm a 27-inch iMac right now. You know, it's the newest one. I love that. It is incredible to be able to upgrade your performance. Traveling's cool. You know, I love being able to travel specifically when there's like business motives. I love referencing Vancouver where Dan's at up there in Canada. I would never have gone up there if it wasn't for, you know, for the deal I have with Dan. But I mean, I'm super grateful that I get to go up there and travel all the time. I get to go all over the world to different places where I have business related stuff, speaking at events, meeting clients, even just, hey, you know, maybe you just want to travel for non-business related stuff. That's cool. But it's definitely something you may want. And I'll tell you what, all those things have costs. So for all my Gary Vee people that only thrive on happiness and no money, you know, it's in for you because all those things require money. Okay. And look, cost is just a number. So because it's just a number, that means we can do the math. All right. So you want to get clear on what each of these areas will cost you every month. So let's put some prices to this stuff. Okay. So let's use the example you really want to ball out. Okay. This was about what I was spending in I think it was 2017 or maybe even early 2018 that these were about my costs. So let's say you want to have a nicer place to live. Let's just say that's $5,000 a month. You know, probably an upgrade from where you're at now, most likely. But let's just say you're balling out, you're doing $5,000 a month. Okay. Let's say better vehicles, you know, maybe you go out and get a nice G-Wagon or, you know, maybe even get a little exotic car for only $1,500 a month, you know, or maybe get 2 lower end cars for only $1,500 a month with insurance. Okay. Let's say you want options for better meals. You know, I did the math on the meals. about $100 a meal, which is $300 a day, times 30 days is $7,500 a month just in nice meals. That was actually the biggest area I spend the most money in most months, was just better food, and that's the average cost. Breakfast might be like $50. Maybe you have like a $300 dinner and like a $100 lunch. New clothes. That was definitely something I did when I first got started. I remember when I was working at Grant's office, I showed up every day, and I'd gone to a place like TJ Maxx. There's a place called Ross. You guys might have different stores where you're at in the world, but they had these things called Polo Ralph Lauren shirts. They were like $30 to $40 shirts. Those are what I was wearing at the time. And then when I really got started in my agency, I started with this brand. You can ask Dan and Desmond about this. It's a brand called Y3. It's a Japanese designer. And I thought it was such a cool brand. I was easily spending $2K a month on clothes. And I'll tell you what, it really played into how I felt. It made me feel great. I loved it. So it was definitely an expense that I wanted to keep. Let's say helping your family, just like me, maybe your sister needs some help, or maybe somebody in your family needs some help. Maybe you need to float the cost of some medical bills, or, hell, maybe they're just struggling a bit, and you just, you're spreading it out between a couple family members. Maybe it's even yourself, maybe you're spending this amount in insurance costs and health insurance for your family, for life insurance, whatever it might be. Let's just average that out about $3K a month. That's usually pretty pricey. Like I said, maybe you're upgrading your computers here and there. Maybe you're upgrading phones. That easy, once again, $2K. That's usually only one time. You're probably not going to be spending $2K a month on tech upgrades. Traveling, I want to put this out there. Traveling can definitely cost a lot more than $3K a month, depending on what standards you got. Okay. I don't know about you guys. I like to fly first class. That's it. I'm a big boy. I'm 6'5". Okay. It's tough for me to fit back there in economy as it is. But even then, with the amount of trips I was taking, pre-corona, $3K a month was easy. That's lowballing it. So take some guesses. Let me know in the chat. How much you guys think all this adds up to? Based on what we just covered here. How much you think you're spending in a month just on this? Some put 30,000, 15K, 20K, 25K. Pretty close for the one who guessed 25K. 264K a year. Troy, you emerald in me right now? All right, cool. Yeah, so it comes out to 24K a month. So I just want to say this, okay? When I first got started, if you would tell me that at one point in the future I'd be spending 24K a month on those things, I would just be like, no way, dude. There's no possible way I'm ever going to spend that much a month. Come on. That's what some people make in a year. Like my sister, getting paid $1,000 a month. That's only $12,000 a year she was making at Starbucks. That was part-time. A lot of people, they get paid like, 30K, 80K a year. Like, you're telling me I'm going to have 24K a month just in expenses? Nah. But you guys saw it, when we break it down and you just have like, that's not even a crazy amount, to be honest with you. And it's very easy to do, but like, let's say, okay, setting aside the fact that it might seem like a lot, let's just look at it as a number that it is. Okay. Set aside your personal biases. Let's just say, okay, I'll hear you out, Jeremy. How do I justify 24K a month in expenses? So let's just use the example that's your personal vision. That's how you see yourself. I'm going to give you a few different ways you guys can break it down. Okay. For starters, 24K a month. It's only 3 clients at 10K. You still got 6K left over. Only 3 10K clients to cover that. You still got 6K left. You can just save. You're living good at 24K a month. Can you guys agree? Put in the chat. Are you living good at 24K a month in expenses? Okay. Yeah, tons of yeses. All right, let's look at another. 24K a month, it's only 5 clients at 5K a month. And you still got 1,000 left over. So look, 5 clients, only 5K a month. That's not a lot of work. It's only 5 clients. And you're still doing 25 G's a month at only 5 clients at $5,000. I'll give you another example, okay? 24K a month, it's only 10 $2,500 a month clients. Pretty easy to do. Let's say you sell those press services that I told you, and you charge monthly for it, dude. Just bump it up $500. Charge $2,500 a month for like 3 press distribution or whatever you want to do. You only need 10 clients like that. It's not a lot. And 25K a month right there. See what I mean? Now let's look at another one. Okay. 24K a month can also be 24 $1,000 clients. Some of you will take that route. And you will be quite jealous. You work with 24 people to only make 24 grand a month, only working with 10 work. Because those are radically different types of lifestyles that you're going to have depending on the choice that you make to price what you need to determine how many clients you're going to work with to make X amount of dollars. Okay? Put in the chat, do you understand how the math gives you clarity on your standards, on what you're willing to tolerate? Is it making sense for how the math helps you understand what you're willing to do, what you're willing to not do, what kind of business you're going to run, how much time you're going to put into that business, just based on doing the math? Is this making sense? You guys getting this? Is it really sinking in? Good. Because the math defines your standards. The math gives you clarity for what you will do and what you will not do. It literally shows you the path that you will have to go down based on what you do or don't do. And look, I understand, okay, sure, when you're starting out, this is one of the biggest things I see people deal with, okay? When you're just starting, you have this sense that like you're not worthy enough yet to only charge $2,500 or $500. And I'll tell you this, as you don't have to go through that route though. Doesn't mean I have to undercharge. It's just a choice to overcome the results of yourself. You will have a new standard for what you're willing to do to get a result that you have when you undercharge yourself up. So important to understand, okay? And look, I bet you'll perform better when you charge more. I bet you'll figure something out. I bet you'll look it up. I bet you'll ask more questions in the communities, okay? You'll also have more revenue to invest into yourself to figure it out. Very important to understand. And look, I'll tell you this, based on what I've noticed about human behavior, my bet, you're the kind of person to figure things out when you're under pressure. Most people, when they feel cornered, when everything's on the line, they perform. They go above and beyond whatever they think is possible and they get it done. That's my bet. I bet that once again, you're going to be in that position where if you charge more, your commitment goes up. You're going to feel a little pressure. Man, it's going to be a good pressure. It's going to be a healthy pressure, You're going to realize exactly what I'm talking about through the action. All right. If you're having troubles really grasping this in terms of how to apply it, commitment will increase based on charging more. So important to understand. Are you guys getting this? My VIPs, you guys have questions you guys want to drop in the chat? Let me know. Patricia says, can you go over the math for revenue share and how to price it? Yeah, Patricia, I mean, we do what I said, we do a 10K minimum and we just do 10 to 25% based on whatever we're willing to negotiate with the client. We always want to start high. We tell them we do 25% net rev shares. They work our way down. So it's tough to know what you're going to be able to produce in the rev share amount. That's why that minimum's there. So if we charge 10K a month as our minimum, we just do the math on that, all the extra money. You need the data first before you can really use it. You got to remember math is based on numbers. Like you don't necessarily want to make up numbers. Like the numbers I mentioned for the lifestyle costs, like those are real lifestyle costs without a doubt. The numbers for how much you can make, the only guaranteed amount in a rev share deal is the service fee until you produce more to make whatever your rev share is. You see what I mean? It's like you can't do the math, the numbers that aren't there yet. You got to get a little bit of data before you do that. Let's see. Jonathan asks, how can I add more value to my press release clients so I can charge more than 2K? Well, Jonathan, let me ask you, what's keeping it at only 2K in value? Is it just because I said, hey, I sold it for 2K? Just it's worth what the client thinks it's worth. There's a good lesson in business. You'll hear this sometimes where people talk about markets defining prices. Like as an example, I saw a pair of shoes recently and they were like $2,000. And in my head, I'm like, that is chaotically crazy. Who in the hell is going to pay $2,000 for shoes? And then no joke, like 2 days later, I saw somebody here in Miami, like wearing those shoes. And I'm like, well, there they are. That's the kind of person who valued that. I didn't value that, but they did, So long story short, just because you price something more than 2K doesn't mean that, there's not somebody out there who's going to value it for whatever you price it at. It's more, once again, it's more about the value of the person that you're selling to how they look at what you're selling kind of dictates what they're going to be willing to pay or what they're not going to be willing to pay. Okay, so Leo asked, what formula can we use if I plan to run as a team of 10? Yeah, Leo, good question. So this training, more about getting started. Definitely not going to go over any team building stuff, too extensive. We have a resource that we can absolutely provide you with for ongoing support here in terms of managing a team of 10. But, to be clear, like you want to weigh that against your personal vision is a clear answer I'd give you now. So if you see yourself showing up to an office, is the team of 10 in person? Are they remote? Are they spread out? Do you see yourself doing Zoom meetings and talking to people in Slack and, sending Loom videos and creating SOPs, all that fun stuff when it comes to managing a team, training the staff. If you do, then absolutely, weigh that into your personal vision and then average out your payroll costs, because that's all going to dictate the amount of money you're going to need to make, how much you're going to need to charge clients, how many clients you're willing to work with. It's going to help come up with the price. I would think with those variables. Remember, when you're doing the math, just kind of look at all the numbers that are part of the equation and use those when you're factoring it in. Okay, so Inru asks, what other service does marketing agencies usually provide? Yeah, Inru, good question. So in my agency, we only offer advertising and consulting. Pretty much any digital skill set under the sun, marketing agencies typically offer to give or take what the agency does. So you can offer press like you guys, like I gave you as examples. I've seen graphic design agencies, video production companies, people that focus specifically on Google AdWords or specifically on Facebook, or maybe just specifically on growing a YouTube channel, or, search engine optimization specialists. There's web developers, funnel builders, copywriters. There's so many different digital skills that you can point a finger at that marketing agencies sell. So there's a ton. I just stick to the ones that drive the most revenue that I can track revenue back to. Anthony asks, if I close top caliber clients, can I ask for your expertise? Yeah, Anthony, when you're closing deals, okay, and you need ongoing support, we'll talk about this later here. There's a lot of opportunities for you guys to get support from us when you guys need it, and we'll make sure we cover those for sure. Let's see here. We got Edward. How long does it take to transition from retainer to rev share, making more income for you? Yeah, Edward, good question. It's more client by client. So we'll find that some clients will take anywhere from after 2 months, the rev share starts to exceed our service fee. We've had clients that take a good 4 to 6 months to exceed that service fee cost. It just depends on all the circumstances in the deal. There's a lot of variables to consider there. Is their team helpful? Do we have to do other things or build other things first before we can get there? There's all kinds of stuff. All right, cool. Let's keep it rolling, everybody. So look, I know most of you listening to this are just going to, probably stick to just charging less until you're confident enough to charge more. For the ones that skip that step altogether, I flat out want to say, congratulations. You're light years ahead of where I was when I first started. I was charging $1,800 a month when I first started, and that's still more than what some other people charge. You just got to learn to avoid the poverty pricing, so you don't have to learn that the hard way. I'll take a moment here to answer a few more questions for you guys, my VIPs. If you guys have anything, drop it in the chat. We'll answer 3 of them here. Troy, can you recommend any good resources to build skills in other areas, such as putting ad campaigns together and learning other skills as an agency owner? Yeah, Troy, we'll cover that for sure, brother. We got a ton of great stuff for you guys. Let's see. We have this looks like Kim here. How to know the client already has PR already or not? I mean, how to check that? Yeah, good question, Kim. You can go on Google. There's actually a bunch of different ways you can do more advanced Google searches. As an example, if you put quotations around words, that actually means in Google search that when you put a quote around something, the only search results you want to see are words, are links that actually have that specific phrase in your quotes in it. So as an example, I could type in, Megalodon marketing in quotes, and then everything that I would get in the search results, would only show links that have those 2 words in it. And even further, I could just go to Google News, and that would show all the sites, news sites that have been out there. So it's an easy way to see press that way. If you just go on Google, look up the business name, and just go to Google News tab. That'll help you a lot. And then Bogdan asks, when you purchase a $15K Louis Vuitton bag, you don't buy the bag, you buy the emotions behind it. Yeah, you're also buying the status. Okay, so last thing here. So Delilah asks, when should we outsource our digital marketing services? Yeah, good question. So if you're a beginner and you don't have that much expertise yourself, there's nothing wrong with getting into a community of agency owners and just saying like, hey guys, I'm closing clients in this niche. I'd love somebody who already works in it that does ads for this channel. You know, like who can I work with? You'd be surprised. Like in big agency owner communities, there's tons of different people that are going to be willing to white label their services and allow you to sell them. And in those scenarios, you know, you get to control how much you're paying out. In other scenarios, like maybe you're like me when I got started, like I already had some digital skills. You know, I didn't really want to pay a lot of money to anybody else to do it because, like, you know, I knew I could do it myself, so I can make more that way. So, I stuck with that. I stuck with doing it on my own. Other people, you know, you might just want to learn how to do it yourself first, and there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, you're getting paid to learn, so you can really choose whatever route is best for you. Okay. Yeah. So let's recap the sales process so far, so you're clear on exactly what to do. Okay. Number one, you want to get clear on the services that you want to sell as an agency owner. We talked about this. You want to get clear on what you want to offer. What services are you going to sell? Number two, you need to pick a niche, or you need to stick to the buffet approach until you find your niche. We talked about the fact that, you know, the buffet approach, you're picking 3 different niche at once. You're sending a certain quantity of video pitches to each one of them, gauging who's responding to you the best, what you're most passionate about if you don't know yet. And you're just doubling down on what you like after you find what's good. Simple stuff. Number 3, you define your perfect client. So you know who to look for. So you know what questions to ask when you're on sales calls, so you can avoid bad deals. Step 4, you build your lead list. We taught you guys how to build lead lists, all the different lead generation tools there are. There's free ones, there's paid ones, there's tons of stuff. There's even more outside of what we mentioned you could look up. We taught you how to organize them. You can use CRMs. You can just use the basic Excel sheet like what I talked about. Number 5, I taught you guys the 60-second code video pitch. That's going to help you get started on pitching those leads that you put into your list, so you guys get some deals. We taught you guys about value-driven follow-up today, so you get more meetings scheduled out. Dan went over closing, so you guys have the ability to close the people that you're getting on calls with. You did some role play with one another. You guys had the opportunity to see what it's like to get some deals, how you're going to get them closed, what word tracks you're going to use. Really important. Before we continue, do you have any questions on that process? Do you have any questions on what you need to know for both Dan and myself on anything related to that process? Cool. A lot of questions here that, all right, how are we going to build a team remotely? Ibrahim asks how you hire your employees and from where. These are great questions, guys. These are questions that we can help with without a doubt. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Not things covered in the challenge though. So I want to take your time covering things that we haven't covered in the challenge so far. Bogdan asks, Jeremy, can you share with us your top 3 books? yeah, Bogdan. Number 1, one of my favorite books, Evolutionary Psychology by Dr. David M. Buss. One of my favorites. Second one, without a doubt, The Owner's Manual for the Brain. I'm a huge fan of that book. It's a neuroscience book. And then one of my other favorites, believe it or not, it helped me a ton. It's called Vital Lies and Simple Truths. By Daniel Voss is his name. No, I'm sorry. Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman is Vital Lies and Simple Truths, a book about self-deception and how people lie to themselves with psychology. It's pretty interesting. Ivan asks, what is what you focus on? Ads and consulting, and only that you managed your results, or you first touched another market skills? Yeah, Ivan, we just sell ads and consulting. So that means, like, we run Facebook ads. We'll teach them strategies that they could use on different ad channels. We'll just teach them money-making things if we do consulting deals. It could be a whole different array of things that we could talk about with that person. Tons of different strategies out there we could go over. Inru asks, if the customers already has Forbes and some other magazines, should I still approach them? Yeah, Inru, I mean, if they've already invested in press, there's a high probability that they value press. Definitely a great pitch for sure. Ari asks, can you repeat number 1, Jeremy? Yeah, Ari, number 1 is you got to pick the service you want to sell. You got to pick what services you want to offer as an agency. Cool. Ivan asks, could you please repeat the team members you have? Yeah, Ivan, good question. So I have a commission-only salesperson. I have a video editor. And that's more for my personal brand side of things, but still an employee. I have a copywriter. Copywriting is one of the most time and effort intensive things, but it's still a common theme that most of our clients need when we're working with them on the result-driven things. And then the last one, just a virtual assistant, somebody you can pay to do tedious things that are well below your dollar value per hour. His name's Jun. Love Jun. Enru asks, what kind of legal documents do I need to sign with the customer? Yeah, Enru, we just do a standard business to business agreement. We actually have something here. I'll show you guys here in a second. Where we'll give you guys some legal agreements. If you guys take us up on an offer. Patricia asks, revenue share is only for income our marketing agency brings in, correct? Yes, very true, Patricia. We are not taking a net rev share of everything in the business. We're only taking a rev share on what we are able to point a finger at and say, we did that, something that can track back to our actions. Really good question for sure. Edward asks, which was the hardest part for you to develop, Jeremy? Edward, you want to specify your question a little further? Maybe I can give some more clarity on that.
Jeremy, while Edward's doing that, so I noticed a lot of chatter, even in the Facebook group. Everyone's really hung up on this whole rev share, net rev share. They're getting so focused on that. They're not thinking of the bigger picture here, but maybe it warrants just spell it out for them, because you can see there's a certain type of personality that's just so hung up on it. They're getting distracted with it. Just clarify that, because everyone is nervous about closing a deal and saying the wrong thing. From what I'm seeing here, just spell it out for them, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same thing as when I just say, hey, I'm going to charge $1,000 a month. We just add a net rev share on top of it. It's no big deal. There's no need to overhype it to yourself. We just say, hey, look, we want to be incentivized when we do a deal with one. Here, we'll role play with one another. Desmond, you ready?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, hey. So ask me about pricing real quick. Well,
Yeah,
let's say
well,
we're
I
there.
mean, Jeremy, everything looks good. How much does it cost? I mean, to work with you guys?
Yeah, great question. Just real quick, do you believe in the power of incentives?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always do that with my team members.
Yeah, good. What are some incentives you currently run in your team right now?
We have MVP of the month, the person who does something, and then the person comes up. Another one is who comes up with the best idea. Either we give them Amazon gift cards, or I even give like $1,000 bonus for a really great idea that brings revenue to the company.
Nice, great. Yeah, and to be clear, we are 100% focused on revenue generating actions when we're working with one another. We have two different ways we price. Okay, we do hands-on deals. We do consulting deals. Can I just ask real quick which one you might be biasing towards?
Well, right now, man, I just fired that other guy. So, I really don't have the time to actually do it. Maybe, what I liked the most was that you said you could take everything, build out everything and run it, and then actually get results. So maybe I'm looking more to that side first.
Yeah, glad to hear it. So yeah, when we do hands-on deals, we just charge a flat $10K a month. That's our service fee. And then we do anywhere from, we prefer to do 20 to 25% net rev shares of what we're able to produce and track back to our actions. Just to be clear, that's not on everything in your business. It's on what we're able to point a finger at and track back to something that we've successfully done that's produced that revenue. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I don't mind, but I'm nervous about the percentage and how does that work? I mean, you said, what is it? Net rev share? What is that?
Yeah, great question. So look, our 10K service fee that we do, that's to put our attention onto the account. We have a bunch of clients that are worth a ton of money to us on a month-to-month basis. So when we first start working with people, sure, we have a few hard costs, but the main thing that the 10K is for is just to get our attention going on the account. You pay that up front. Now, once a month, we calculate out, usually just your accountant talks to our accountant. It's that simple. And we just look at a report that says, hey, this is how much these guys were able to produce for your business. And from there, as an example, 25% of that, just whatever's the net, obviously you got your gross that's brought in. We don't want a percentage of that. We understand how business works. We want you to factor out all the other hard costs associated with it. And then, yeah, we'd love to be incentivized on a 25% rev share based on that. Now, to be clear, to be completely fair, we deduct that 10K service fee from whatever's to be paid out on the net rev share. Okay. So as an example, we make $250K a month in net revenue. You already paid us 10. 25K is to be paid out for the net rev share. You'd only pay us 15 in that example, totaling 25K.
Okay, that makes sense. And this happens every month, like it resets every month,
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe next month it's 500,000, and then so I'm supposed to be paying you 50,000, but because the 10,000 there, we take out, you take out the the 10,000 from that first, right?
Correct. That's exactly how we work. Yep. And to be clear, like, you know, we have some businesses that we work with where they operate on smaller margins. So 25% of their net is still like a pretty big number to them.
Yeah.
I just want to be very clear. You know, we're not here to be greedy. We're here to do whatever's fair. So if 25% to you is too much, by all means, we're willing to negotiate down. If 25% sounds fair and it sounds like something that you're willing to do, we'd love to take action and send you over the agreement so we can get started.
Well, I was thinking about 15. You know, since we're being honest here, I was thinking 15. And I mean, hey, if you can get us to that first big milestone, we talked about getting to that 500,000. I'm open to having a discussion with you, and I'll put that for the record as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. Like 15% still falls in our wheelhouse for what we're willing to tolerate. And to be clear, like we're not here to you know, twist your arm or anything. We just you know, we want to do what's fair in the business. So if you look, one thing to be clear though, if you have confidence that we can help take you to 7 figures a month, I just got to ask, are you going to be upset once we get to $1 million and you're kicking me back 15% of that net revenue? I've had clients that have flat out, they've just paid us too much money. And it, you know, they end up feeling, oh, hey, you know, I'm getting ripped off now. I don't want you to feel that way. Is that ever going to be a problem for you?
No, you get me to 7 figures a month, man. You and I are best friends. I'm happy to pay you to 15 if you get us to 7 figures.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah, I'd love to get started together. I'll shoot you over the agreement after this and a follow-up email with what we need to do to get started. Is that okay? Do we have a deal here?
Yeah. Give me maybe 24 hours. You know, I mean, send it over. I'm about just to head out right now, and then I'll have it to you by maybe tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, totally cool. We'll send it over via DocuSign. It'll just be in your inbox, and you know, we're not annoying or anything. If anything comes up, just let me know.
Yeah. And you just like I just give me my Amex card, right? You can take care of that every month.
There's actually a credit card authorization form on the last page of our agreement that you'll fill out. So you'll just type it in there. Nothing we need now over the phone.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Very good role play. I like that. Is that clear? Right? This only works if you can fucking deliver the results.
Yeah, so true.
You focus on the wrong fucking thing. Right? Oh, they negotiate a percentage. You could deliver the results. How you get it? Is it a base plus a percentage? Is it a scale on a percentage? Is it spend percentage of the credit back? You're focusing on the wrong thing. Jeremy gets it because he could deliver the results and drive revenue. 15% of zero is fucking zero. You getting it? There's some tough love. You're asking the wrong fucking question. It's not the point. The point is, how do you make them see the value, get the relationship started? Could be 3K, could be 5K, could be 10K. You work your way up there. Get the income coming in first while you're upgrading your skills. You with me? That's what we're talking about. When you can deliver, is it 12%? Is it 13%? Is it 15%?
Is it net? Is it growth? Is it after ad spend?
It's however you want to negotiate. Is it after ad spend? Is it before ad spend? Anything that you could, as long as you're comfortable and the client is comfortable.
That's right.
You got it? As long as you're comfortable and they're comfortable, and write this down, it needs to be a win-win. It always needs to be a win-win. That you need to feel good doing what you do. The client needs to feel good that it's a win-win relationship. We are here to drive more revenue for your business.
Yeah.
You don't feel that I'm twisting your arm, I'm ripping you off. I don't feel I'm not getting paid what I'm worth and all the effort that I put in. It's this dance, right? And Jim and I, we had the conversation, even for some clients, like, you know what? We've been now, since we started working together, the revenue's gone up. Mm-hmm. I volunteer, even in my career, I volunteer to take a less percentage because it's getting too rich, right? Yes. I volunteer to say, I'm going to take a little bit less. I'm not going to take that 15. I'm just going to take that 12 and 10 because I've done a lot of the upfront work. The thing is kind of going. I would prefer to do that. It's so true. I prefer to keep the long-term income revenue stream versus they're trying to think about how I can, stop this relationship and they don't feel good. No, you want them to be
feel good about
friends, right? Like hang out and you talk and you have that relationship. That's why Jeremy flies here and we talk and things like that. You got it? It's that win-win. Don't do deal that's not a win-win. It doesn't last.
Yeah, true.
You might feel like you're getting a deal for the first 2 months. No, you want that to be you want a long-term relationship. How can we work together for years, not months, right? Because then you don't need to go chase the next client. You just nurture, just like Jeremy, the handful of clients that you have. It makes your life simple. Yes, it keeps everything simple. Please keep going.
Let's do one more real quick, Desmond,
Yes,
so
let's do it.
people are like even more clear on this. This time, completely deny that like you're just unwilling to do a rev share, okay?
Okay.
So
Cool.
same scenario as last time. Let's act like we're talking about pricing. And just to be clear before we go into this, I'm going to show you guys how you can still make more on an incentive deal just with service fees with somebody who's not willing to do a rev share, okay?
Okay.
Love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Ask me about pricing.
Yeah. So Jeremy, I mean, everything looks good so far. I mean, but I'm just worried about, how much do you guys cost?
Yeah. So the first thing I got to ask, do you like incentives?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Do you currently use them in your team at all?
Sometimes, yeah.
Nice. Do you have any examples of anything you could talk to me about?
Yeah, we have like a MVP of the month, and the person who contributes the most to the company, and we give them the Amazon card, or even if they come up with a great idea that helps the company make money, I'll throw them a one-time $1,000 bonus.
Nice, cool. And based on what we talked about, I brought up the fact we can do consulting, skill transfer, knowledge transfer, or we can just come in and do it hands-on and just do all the work and help produce revenue. Wait, are you leaning towards one or the other?
Well, I just had to fire this other guy. So, I quite frankly, I don't have the time to do stuff. So if you can do everything that you showed me, all those videos you sent me, that's what I'm looking for. You can build out all that stuff and run the ads and the campaigns. That will be what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we can help. We think you meet all our perfect client traits, so we'd be happy to strike up a deal with one another. When we come in and we do hands-on deals, we charge a service fee. It's a month-to-month cost of $10K. That's our retainer that we get no matter what. And then we like to have an incentive to where we have anywhere from like a 20 to 25% net rev share only on actions that we're able to track back to what we've done, not on everything that comes in the business, just on what we've been able to produce. Does that sound fair?
The 10 is a little bit on the high side already. The margins, we're just being honest here, right, with each other.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not open to the rev share, and don't take this personally. It's just our margins are pretty tight as well. That's a lot. Yeah.
And just to handle one thing you said, you mentioned that 10K feels like a lot. I just wanted you to keep in mind here. The only reason we're charging that and why we're even having this conversation about doing a deal, we're confident we can produce results for your business. We know you're going to be making a lot more than 10K and what you spend on ads. So, to be clear, you're completely against any kind of rev share. It's just out of the question in its entirety.
Yeah. I mean, have you done any other clients where you work with and there's no rev share? And it also is because, I've got another partner and she's the CFO. I know she'll definitely not be open to the rev share.
Yeah, understood. And look, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to find a deal that's fair. Because you're a perfect client and you're somebody that we want to add to a successful case study, you can help us get more clients. So selfishly, I'll be sure to tell you that. You working with you, helping producing you revenue, still going to help us at the end of the day. So we're willing to do a deal like that. Let me just ask though, because like I said, I'm just trying to get to a fair deal, and I want to be incentivized. It helps improve our performance.
Okay.
Let's start at 10K.
Mm-hmm.
But once we make you at least 250K a month,
mm-hmm.
I want you to bump us just another 5K. We'll just do 15K. Okay. And check this out. When we get to 500K, I want you to pay us 20K. And it'll just do 5K bumps every 250K that we're able to make you in a month. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. I mean, does it reset? I mean, if you get me 250 1 month and then it goes down, does it change, or it does?
Of course. Yeah, like I said, I'm not here to twist your arm and do anything. Like I said, I'm just trying to find what's fair. If we make less, then we go back down into one of those lower brackets. It goes back to the 10.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Cool. All right. Well, I'd love to send you over our agreement. Just puts everything in writing, and I'll send you over a follow-up email of what we need to do to get started.
I love that. Round of applause for Jeremy.
That's a great pivot.
So that's a different structure. It's not a revenue share structure. It is a bonus structure, right? You hit certain milestone, it unlocks a certain bonus.
Like a tiered system. Right?
Yeah, there's so many ways to do this.
Just gotta get creative with your deal making.
There's so many deals to do this, right? Like the way that even we are doing all kinds of deals, there's so many ways. I could probably, if I lay it off, I can probably show you 100 ways to structure it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? If I teach you 100 ways to structure a deal, you do none of them because then you're overwhelmed. Just keep it simple. How many of you, if your first client, put in the chat, the first client, forget the 10K. What if the first client that you're getting paid, you're helping them with, let's say Facebook, you're getting 5K a month, plus some kind of bonus structure if you help them get to a certain milestone. How many would be happy? Put in the chat.
Yeah.
Facebook, put in the chat.
Get a testimonial.
5K, the first 5K.
I'm sure.
The first deal.
You guys are
Don't
overthinking
worry
it.
about Jeremy, 60, 65K per, 67K per client. How about let's get you the first 5K deal first?
Yeah, it's so true.
You'll learn, you get testimonial, you get a track record, you get referral. Jimmy didn't get overnight. I didn't get it overnight. It's just step by step. Get the first deal. Yes? First deal. Put in the chat. First deal. Get the first deal. That's the focus. Yes, please keep going.
Awesome. Well, look, I mean, guys, you've got everything you need to start selling and getting clients without a doubt. And I'll tell you this, the biggest thing I know that you need to focus on next is knowing how to deliver the results. Okay. It's huge. You're also going to need to know how to delegate. We had some people asking questions of the VIP here, how to delegate, how to onboard, how to train staff, how to create systems. I mean, flat out, it just all comes down to growing the agency through time. And I'll tell you one thing, okay? We all know things change online all the time. It's the most constant thing. Change is the only constant.
Jeremy, Facebook never changes. The algorithm never
I wish.
changes. The YouTube never changes. Damn.
I wish it was that way.
I wish that's the case.
I wish it was the
Wouldn't
case.
that be nice?
Back in the
Google slap,
yeah.
No. Yes, definitely. Platform. New policy all the time. Changes.
And look, guys, I can't tell you this enough. It's so important you get the ongoing help and education that you need. That way you're not left learning the lessons the hard way like I did. I mentioned this to you guys. My grandfather taught me a very valuable lesson when I was young. I love this quote. I'm never going to get a tattoo, but if I did, I swear I'd put this thing on my chest. Huge, It's a fool's game to learn the hard way. Okay? It's also important to get tapped into a community of other agency owners, as we mentioned. There's tons of value in that. You get to build strategic referral networks. You get to talk to other people. You get to knock your problems off other people. So that way you're not only getting our perspective, you're getting other agency owners' perspectives too on problems. I've seen some of you guys, you go in and post in the Freedom Challenge Facebook group, and you're saying, hey, I'm having a problem with this tool. And I see dozens of people jumping in there and saying, oh, I overcame it this way. I helped it. It immediately helps you problem solve in real time. It gives you more support. So look, if you want ongoing support, we can for sure help. We've put together a support program for you guys called High Ticket Agency.
Write this down. High Ticket Agency.
Yeah, HTA for short. Okay, HTA has everything you need to be a successful agency owner. As I mentioned to you guys, right? I already have just shy of 3,100 students that I've taught how to start and scale marketing agencies to, along with digital marketing lessons. A well-rounded education, both on being the agency owner and on being the digital marketer. So you can hold your staff accountable. So you can hold your contractors accountable. So you can gain these skills yourself that are revenue driven. So there's 2 levels of HTA. Okay, there's 2 different levels to high ticket agency, and I'd love to introduce them to you guys. But I just got to know, okay? Because I don't like to do this without your permission. Okay, can you let me know in the chat? Is it cool if I offer you guys something right now? I'm only gonna do this if it's cool. All right, bunch of yeses, cool. You guys are saying yes to this more than some of these other questions I've asked. All right, cool. So look, there's 2 levels once again. There's the starter version of high ticket agency, and then there's the more advanced version of it. It's called the HTA Accelerator, High Ticket Agency Accelerator. Kind of looks like this to give you a visual of it, right? The starter, definitely more entry level information, but it still gives you a very well-rounded perspective. Tons of strategies, tons of actions. You'll accumulate skills through the starter without a doubt. Look, I know I helped create these programs. I don't want to put too much emphasis on how incredible the accelerator is in comparison to the starter, but it is a big jump. I'll go over each thing that comes between the two so you can see it yourself. But man, for the people who really want to get faster progress, okay, you want to speed the process